Number 2, motion to accept the minutes of December 18, 2017 special session deferred from 1/9/18. Moved by Councilman Perilou, second by Councilman Otan. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0-2. Number 3, motion to accept the minutes of the January 29, 2018 regular session. Moved by Councilman Otan, second by Councilman Groh. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 7-0-2. B, presentations and updates. Number 4, Parish President James B. Cantrell to present the Employee of the Year Award.
2017 Employee of the Year will be Ms. Nanette Lazar. Ms. Nanette was awarded the Employee of the Month Award in March of 2017. February of this year will be her 10th year working for the Community Action as a community outreach worker in the Galliano office. Comments from her Employee of the Month nomination in March of 2017 said that a citizen who received guidance from Ms. Nanette had got emotional on the phone with the supervisor about how well Ms. Nanette did her job. She said that she's never had to seek any type of assistance, but due to her husband losing his job, the citizen now had to. She wasn't sure how to do anything or get the assistance she needed, but Ms. Nanette, recognizing that the citizen was frazzled, made her comfortable, sat her down, held her hand, listened to all of her concerns, explained everything to her, and wrote things down for the citizen to relate to her husband, and also got them the information they needed in order to get their electric bill paid, as well as get food and other necessities until their situation improved. Please, everybody join me in congratulating Ms. Lazard as Employee of the Year for 2017.
Number 5, presentation by Mr. David Cormerdale, Mayor of Town of Grand Isle, and Mr. O'Neill Marlborough, Senior Vice President of Grand Isle Shipyard, LLC, regarding a rock project. This was deferred from 1/9/18 meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Mayor Grand Isle, first of all, I'm here to tell you that I'm really proud of the Parish.
Can you?
Testing? I'm sorry. First of all, as Mayor Grand Isle and also the President of Grand Isle Independent Levy District, I'm here to tell you that on behalf of the residents of Grand Isle and even the summer home people that enjoys our island, we really appreciate Lafourche Parish, because when a disaster hits, a storm hits, through the parish presidents before and the parish president today and the council working closely with all of y'all, whenever we needed something in Grand Isle to work it out through the sheriff's office and the councilman and even emergency preparedness, on the bottom of my heart, I want to tell you that it really works well to get our residents back and forth. So first of all, I want to thank y'all for that. And working closely, like I said, Daniel, so many years, and Jerry coming from Grand Isle. I'm here tonight to explain to y'all that I have my levy board guys, Mr. Kelly Bason, that's on the levy board, and Mr. Arthur Ballinger, and I have my engineer, O'Neill Marlborough with Grand Isle Shipyard. Tonight I have a town council meeting in Grand Isle. It falls the same time that y'all have a meeting, and I always wanted to come and talk to y'all before and tell y'all thank y'all. But we got a great project that's going on. You know, we put rocks. We're not no sand people. We love rocks to protect our coast. We're leaving tomorrow morning to go to Washington to lobby hard. We got some bills that we're going to try to push. But tonight is a special night. We're not asking for no money. We're just asking for permission. If you look at your brochures, you see right there, Bayou Tunda runs right there in the back of Cheniere Caminada. Let me give you a little history. We got created in '92, our little levy board. I was appointed by Edwards at that time. And our job was to protect LA1, the backside of the island, and also build some hurting levees. We're probably the only little levy board that's 3-board member through the whole state, which I was president of all the levy boards in Louisiana during Hurricane Katrina. It was a good experience, But we the ones that build levees, we got to put rocks first and then build our levees on the inside to protect our people. So when we talk about millions of dollars for 8 miles of the island, we have to come in and explain to the congressmen and the senators up there for many years, way back when Billy Tarzan was in there, saying that we don't want you to think that we wake up in the morning and we look at the grass growing. We're watching the Gulf wash it away. So this project here, the Corps is telling us that, you know, they want us to save wetlands, and I see in the meetings, I watch y'all, look like y'all don't sleep. Every time I put the television, y'all still play it on television, but y'all know we'll be talking about dealing with the Corps for permits, and especially to save wetlands. Well, the Corps wants our little levee board to come up $700,000 to study to save LA1 from Port Fourchon coming to the island. So we tell them that we're not going to spend that kind of money. We're going to come in and try to protect LA1 the best way we can. So if you look at the map, the Parish line, Jefferson Parish line, Lafourche Parish line is right there where the city ends at, right there, but it's where we used to call it the dump. When you're coming into the Welcome Grand Isle sign, we're going to come in, and we got some parish funds, and we also got some capital outlay money that we're working hard, that we worked through the years. And we got to get this done. We want to come in, and you got Bayou Thunder, which the bayou in the middle is divided, Jefferson Parish, and the right side belongs to y'all, Lafourche Parish. We want to put the rocks on y'all side to protect the bayou. And by doing that, we're asking for permission, so we can go along and start surveying as soon as possible, that we can come in and put some rocks to protect that. And I have my engineers in the back, and he can explain it to y'all exactly. We're looking at like to put them rocks in them areas, we're looking at about $8 million. We have the money right now to go ahead and start surveying. But I didn't want to do this without coming and talk to y'all, and I'll let him explain to y'all, and I'll recognize Mr. O'Neill.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David. If you look at the first
Could you
slide.
state your name and address for the record, please?
O'Neill Marlboro, 4013 Lano Drive, Berkeley, Louisiana. If you look at the first slide, the vicinity map, it just shows you where the project we're talking about. And again, it's the area on the north side of Highway 1, right around with the Elmer's Island Road, where Elmer's Island Road comes up, where the Chenier, one of the community of camps is right there on the island. It's along Bayou Thunder, from starting at the bridge on the west side, and it follows the north side of Bayou Thunder all the way to Caminada Bay. So it's the area before you get on Grand Isle, on the left side of the highway, if you're going toward Grand Isle. Like David told you, Bayou Thunder is the line between Lafourche Parish and Jefferson Parish. And what we want to do is we want to armor the side of the canal, just put rocks along the canal from the bridge to Caminada Bay on the Lafourche side, so we can protect the bayou. The bayou has been eroding and getting wider and wider every year due to storms. The Caminada Bay is approaching it on the north side, and the area in between Caminada Bay and Bayou Thunder is eating out real bad. There was some, at one time it was all marsh. Now there are some big old ponds and almost lakes in between the bay and the thing. So the comprehensive plan that we submitted with the parish to the Restore Act folks is in fact to armor the north side of the bayou on the Lafourche side, do some armoring. The yellow and the blue on that second map shows the armament along the Caminada Bay side, which is along Caminada Bay. And then the phase, that would be phase 2. Phase 3 is going to be dredging out of Caminada Bay and filling in some of those holes in between the rocks along the shoreline of Caminada Bay and the north side of Bayou Thunder. So we're really not asking for anything. We've got some capital outlay money that David secured from Senator Lario and the legislature, and they have, we want to begin the preliminary engineering and go out for a permit. So prior to us doing that, we wanted to come to y'all and let y'all know that we will be in fact doing a project. It's a project designed to really protect the Lafourche Parish between the bay and the bayou, and Jefferson Parish between the bayou and the highway. So the idea is to protect the marsh. If you notice, if you go farther to the east along Highway 1, when you get toward right before you get to the bridge, at one time the land was 1,000 feet back into the bay, and then eventually the land is gone. The camps are right on the high side of the road. So what we want to do is protect that land before it gets there. And if you look historically, this area is getting beat up every year. When the counterclockwise winds from a storm come in, we end up getting, when a storm passes to the east of Grand Isle, we end up getting northeast and north winds. So Grand Isle happens to be in a place, if the storm passes to the west of us, we get south winds from the Gulf. But if it passes to the east of us, we get north winds from the north and northeast. So those winds come right into that area. So this is just to protect that area. We're going to apply for a permit as soon as we can on the phase one, which is just the armament of the Bayou Thunder. But it is the first phase of a bigger project that's going to be not only the $8 million, but it's going to be another $8 million both for the rocks and the dredging. So the first phase is putting the rocks along Bayou Thunder. Second phase would be putting the rocks along Caminado Bay. And the third would be doing what we call dedicated dredging, where we would put a dredge in the bay, rebuilding the marsh. So we're not really asking for anything. We're just really coming here to inform you that we will be doing that. The permit will eventually go to your, I guess, your coastal zone committee and that, to look at as the state and everybody processes the permit. But that's kind of what we're asking for at this particular point.
Any questions? Oh, Mr. Daniel?
Yeah, I just want to thank y'all for coming. So y'all really don't need anything in writing or whatever from us.
No.
I just want to go back to David. We've always had a great working relationship, parish government, port commission, and town of Grand Isle. Of course, I know how you feel because you're the furthest one from the parish, just like my area is the furthest one south. So you know how that goes.
Exactly.
But we've always, hurricanes, just bad weathers now. Mm-hmm. You got to clean the road. You got to make sure it's safe. And so we've always gotten along. We've always got things done. And I appreciate y'all coming and explaining. And I appreciate the council. If y'all really need something, we'll go right ahead and help you out. And thanks for coming.
And like I said, Mr. Daniel Lorena, I had met with him a couple of months ago, and we had to postpone it because of other stuff that was going on. But I'm going to leave you with this. I really appreciate that, because if you're not shovel-ready the way the country's going, and the message that I'm getting from Washington, and that's what we're doing. That's going to be our third project, that we're going to be shovel-ready. Just pass that and eat your hat. Any little projects that you guys got going, get it shovel-ready, because that's the information I'm getting back from Washington. And we're going to be there we'll be on the Hill Thursday and Friday. We'll leave out tomorrow morning. But if you could get your project shovel-ready, it's so much easier, because when the money starts flowing into the state, you can work closely with your senator. And you got a great senator, Senator Chabert, working closely with our Senator Alario, and you got Truck Gisclair. We got some great representation up there. And I want to let you know that when Jefferson Parish elected officials meet, we have a luncheon every Tuesday in Baton Rouge. And we invite Truck to come on board and Norby to come on board to share their projects with Lafourche Parish. And that's, I'll have to let y'all know that. So by working together, Lafourche and Jefferson, and at the Capitol, and we see some of the projects that y'all asking for, we just want to let y'all know that we support y'all. And they have lunch with us once in a while, come in, and they meet with Jefferson Parish guys. Because y'all like brothers and sisters to us, and Senator Alario's only there for a couple of more years. He's a great senator, and he represents, and he loves the Bayou State. He'll work and do anything. And Norby has a great relationship. And like I said, just remember, any projects that y'all have in mind, be shovel-ready. Get it shovel-ready. Get with your engineers, because the money's going to be coming in. The Gold Mesa money's coming in. The Restore Act's money coming in. And when you shovel-ready, you can work closely with your senator to get it and make it easy with the governor and say, listen, I'm not worried about these projects, but I'm going to tell you, if you shovel-ready, it's coming in, and take my advice. I tell you what, you can get projects done. And again, no questions, no money. Thank y'all so much.
Hang on a
Appreciate
second,
y'all.
Mayor. Councilman LaFont?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mayor, I just want to let you know, I don't know if you received it, but several months back,
Yes.
I put a resolution where we support y'all in any way we can. So if you want to bring that with you to Washington, be it, because I was born, I'm from Grand Isle. My
Absolutely.
father's buried in Grand Isle.
That's right.
I got a brother that never moved off the island. So I kind of feel vested in that island also. But, you can't reiterate enough. If Grand Island ever disappears, Jefferson Parish is gone, St. Charles is gone, Lafourche Parish is gone. Y'all are the only island protecting the inside of that area. So anything we can do for you, we're here for you. And I don't think it'd be a problem to let y'all put some rocks on the property.
No. Again, like I said, and we're gonna, once we, get the project going, we're gonna welcome you all, we'll take a little boat ride and see, because it's gonna be a plus to save the wetlands. You know, in our lifetime, we watch it wash every day. Our job is, you know what, we're gonna, while we're alive, we're gonna put rocks to save our community. We're not gonna wait on the government. So again, appreciate y'all, and the fish
Mayor.
are biting in Grand Isle whenever y'all wanna come.
I had one question.
Yes, ma'am.
With some of the monies coming from capital outlay, you don't need a CEA between Lafourche Parish, especially since some of that money is going to be spent on rocks that are going to be put,
Well, this is
In
for
our parish?
engineering, and Madam Chairwoman, woman, we went to the first phase getting permission.
Okay.
The first phase, and we'll get back with y'all. We're just coming to tell you all that if we have to answer any things we do, we'll come back.
and I know
Yeah.
everyone here probably would definitely support a CEA with you all, so thank you for what you're
Yes.
doing. And how did the Corps receive your alternative plan?
Well, you know, we fight with them almost every day, and, but I gotta be honest, you know, being elected since 1989 and dealing with so many colonels, we have a good colonel. He's from, right there on the other side of New York, in a little island off of New York, and when I met with him, his grandfather was a boat builder, and we started talking, we connected. So when he came to the island, he had a heart, he's seen the problems, he read it right away, but it's just no funding.
Yeah.
Now it looks like things are gonna move a little bit, the way I'm understanding. So that's one of my best relationship I ever had, was the colonel we have now. He's starting to understand, because he comes from an island. And that really bonded with me and with our team, and by working together. And he's always checking in, and like I said, we're gonna go back in March, to make sure that we got our homework done. You know, our motto is to go to Washington at this time of the year so you can answer to your state legislators and take a bit of advice to that. It took me 10 years to realize that. And so far, we were fortunate. We're putting a package together in front of the Corps. We're going tomorrow for 3 different things, between representing the south side of the island. You've seen us putting $4 million worth of rocks during the storm. The government never gave me a nickel, not one nickel. So we're going back to try to change the language, because on the East Coast today, they're calling it beach nourishment projects. So we got to go change our language, because the Corps changed our language after Katrina and said we're not coming back to a Category 3. They never built our walkways back. They never came back, and now they're coming in and telling me that we got different things on the levee that we can't give you. Well, we applied for Go Mesa money to get $14 million. I just got the design right before the meeting. The engineers just shot it to me on the phone to tell me that this is what I have to ask for. So to protect the island, to put the rocks in the Gulf and work with Mother Nature, let the sand come in. You know, when you put rocks, and when weather gets bad, it stirs up the sand and the mud, and it goes over the rocks, and it settles. So if you look behind the island, everybody that has a canal, they complain a little bit, but it builds up. But as long as they got traffic coming in the canals, it stays deep. But you've seen the little tides with the cold weather we had. We took pictures the other day. We got about 1.5 feet of sand, 2 foot of sand that's building up on the backside of the island.
Wow.
So you never fight Mother Nature, you work with Mother Nature. So I think the colonel is looking at that today and saying, this is common sense. And that's all it takes. You could take any Cajun man or any Cajun woman that's raised anywhere along the coast, and they'll tell you it just takes common sense. And that's what we work with, common sense. And we got a good friend, look like he wants to help us. So like I said, get with your engineers and get some projects going. And like I said, he's a guy that looked like he wants to work. And he said, David, I just don't have the money. Well, that's our job to lobby, to get the money to help you. And then we ask the governor, any little matching funds, and you get your projects done. But number one, be shovel ready. And that's why we're here tonight. And we really appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you.
Dr. King is not here yet, so we need to, can I get someone to deviate on the agenda for me? Moved by Councilman Grow. Second by Councilman Otan. Oh, Dirk is.
Number 7 would actually defer that to the second.
So I need a.
Turn on your mic.
Let him say how many
So I gotta say.
you need a vote. You have a motion and a second, we don't have to vote to deviate.
Can I get a vote to deviate? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Go ahead, Counsel.
Deviating to
So we're deviating to number 7.
Number 7, Mr. Harris called me early today, and he asked that we defer his presentation until, I think it's February 23rd, 27th. So he'd like to defer that presentation to February 27th.
Okay. So now we need a
keep going.
Okay, so number 8, Ms. Charlene Rodriguez. Is it Rodrigue or you? Rodriguez, Executive Director of Lafourche Council on Aging, to present an annual report. Please.
In front of y'all, I gave y'all all one of our Council on Aging little flyers to let you know exactly what we do.
Can you state your name and address for
I'm
the
sorry,
record?
Charlene Rodriguez, Post Office Box 500, Raceland, Louisiana. You also have our fiscal year report, and if you look all the way on the left, it's going to tell you the services we proposed, and all the way on the right, it's going to tell you the services we've actually provided. If you look on the homemaker side, for example, we have 22,710 services we proposed last year. We ended up doing 22,880. So if you look on that side, it'll tell you exactly all the services we've done on each side and the proposals. I also gave Ms. Carleen a copy of all of our minutes, our board chairman and all of that information, what they request for the parish council. And if anybody have any questions, I'll be happy to answer you.
I just
Councilman
want to thank you again for doing such an excellent job, and I get nothing but, compliments on the
Thank you.
services that y'all provide, so thank you very much on
Thank
behalf of
y'all.
our citizens.
Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Even though we defer and read it anyway.
C, proclamations.
We're going to defer items 9 and 10.
We're going to defer items 9 and 10 until February 27th. And we're going to pray that everyone feels better real soon. That's why this is getting deferred. Thank you for helping with that as well, Charlene. D, legal advisor. Any of that? No. Engineers, architects, reports. Any engineers?
Hey, Dal. Thank you.
Hi, Jack.
Oh, we lucky one,
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Jack Plazos, 115 Picciola Parkway, Cutoff, Louisiana. I've passed out a handout with our slideshow and our monthly report on our projects. So our first project that you'll see on the report is the roadway and drainage improvements, Road Sales Tax District 2, Phase 4L. This is a similar update that we've had several times. We've issued review plans and submitted those for approval, and we're just waiting on the action. I think it's some budget. I know it's budgetary in nature, and that's basically where we are now. Moving on to coastal pump station improvements in Lockport, District 7 and District 5. We're wrapping things up here. We have some minor electrical work to complete later this week. We are beyond the contract time, and I can tell you that we will come with a balancing change order that adds some additional days for excused extensions on the contract time. We do expect that the final change order will be a reduction in the contract that you have now, which is about $2.5 million. And all is well with that. Moving again to District 9, we have the 308 turning lane, Airport Access Road, Galliano. We are basically complete with our engineering work. The permits have been acquired. There are 2 items on tonight's agenda later on where the parish is seeking right-of-way from the Greater Lafourche Port Commission and the Lafourche Parish Water District. That involves the fact that the roadway near the proposed bridge will be slightly widened, and drainage improvements along the edge of the road will require us to have some additional right-of-way for that roadway. So later on in your agenda, you'll see 2 separate resolutions for right-of-ways for this project. And finally, well, I say finally, I have 2 more. Moving to the Chevron Bridge demolition project in District 9, we did receive 3 bids back in December. The low bidder was Tidewater Dock Incorporated, and the contract documents with Tidewater Dock are being processed at this time. That's moving forward. Finally, this is a new project that we were awarded a couple months back, the Choctaw Levee Rehabilitation and Permitting, Choctaw, Louisiana, District 2. We're now working with the administration and the permit agencies to rehabilitate about a 5,200 linear foot reach of levee along Choctaw Road. We recently received the preliminary wetland delineation, and a meeting was scheduled for tomorrow to get the game plan discussed and a few action items that we have on the table at this point. So that would complete my report, and if there are any questions, I'd be happy to respond.
Councilman Lorraine?
Yeah, Jack, on the Phase 4L, y'all did a lot of surveying,
Yes?
okay? Because it's hard for me to believe that in 2 years, we've been trying to get a project done. Then they finally put something together. Then they said that we had to cut it because of the funding. But my golly, 2 years we're collecting, the sales tax comes in every month. Every month. How can we be cutting when we never really spent any road sales tax to money? It comes in every month. It's 2 years I've been trying to get a project going. This one here, I cut some streets, he cut some streets, Orman cut some streets. And where are we? We're waiting on the administration?
I'm not directly working on that project, Mr. Daniel, but what I can tell you is that sometime in the last several months, we submitted a set of plans and specs with cost information, probably by street and by the district area. Again, this is secondhand information, but I feel confident telling you this. And the task at hand was to slim up the project. That's really about all I can tell you with a lot of confidence. Any recent discussions, any actions, I'm not aware of.
Well, we were asked to cut some streets, which we all did, and now to me, the funds are still coming in. I don't think we should be cutting, we should be adding. I think the worst thing this parish ever did was buy a roller packer and start patching. Because in 10 years from now, you're not gonna have streets fixed, they're all gonna be patched. That's what happened last time. And I see that's what's going on now, patching.
Was that a question for Mr. Cantrell? Not.
No, I'm just saying this. Patching, I mean, you could patch, it helps out, but it's cut it out what's bad and fix it. We have some funding down there. Road sales tax too has money. We need to get a project going.
But I mean, that's not in Jack's hands, though. That's in.
I'm going to
Parish
disagree. I mean,
president's
we're anxious to get
Yeah.
it going. We need some direction. That's about all I'm privy to, the information
Mr. Jimmy, did you care to address that comment from Mr. Lorraine?
I'll address it as soon as we get it and get the whole thing finalized, and I'm waiting for you to finalize everything, and we're gonna work on it as soon as we can. I didn't get it yet, so.
Okay, I think everything has been submitted. I think we've submitted estimates and plans, so
Oh.
we'll
So
double
as
check. We'll
We'll
follow
talk
up.
about it tomorrow, and we'll see what we can do, and see if we can, Dan, we'll see if we, and Jerry, and we'll see if we can get it going. In other words, I'm anxious to get it going myself.
I think we need to try to figure out how much money we have. We can never get an accurate figure from nobody. Every time you ask for a figure, it's a different figure.
Councilman Otan?
Yeah, Jack, I just on the coastal pump station, so I know the deadline date was December 5th, and when are y'all thinking you're gonna be cutting the ribbon over there? Any idea?
I think things will be wrapping up certainly in the next couple of weeks, maybe before then.
Great. So within the next month, it should be
Yes.
coming online. Looking at the rake on it again, and, every time I see a new pump station, I'm always concerned about the way the access to the rake is. On this particular rake, I know there's a little platform for an employee to go and kind of grab lilies, but in a major heavy event and you need to get a machine, will they be able to access that rake with a machine or no?
That might be a better question for Mr. Barnes.
Yeah, he's not here. I'll ask him later. I just was
He's
curious.
not here, right?
I'm always concerned. The
You're right.
last pump
It's a
station that came
difficult-
online, first thing I said was, man, there's no access to the rake. It just seems like there's always a flaw with access to the rake, and I'm concerned with this one and looking at it.
Yeah,
So I
there's
just wanted
always
to
going to be a challenge, and the budget, of course, is part of that, too.
Thank you, Jack.
You're welcome.
Councilman Jones?
Yeah, Jack, on that coastal pump station, the word was out that the pump was built too short. Was that corrected, or?
We followed the master drainage plan, the parish's master drainage plan, low water elevation. So that's what we have built it according to. Whether it's too low, I think might be a matter of opinion. I know that there's some studies going on with T. Baker Smith about an ideal water location, a water elevation to maintain. And I also know that that's one of the areas being studied. It's a balance between maintaining the water elevation you need for drainage and also protecting the levee. The lower you bring the water table on those borrow canals, and I know I'm speaking something that I think you're all familiar with already. But to answer your question, Mr. Jones, the pump station was built according to the master drainage plan, low water elevations, and our specs. So there could be some discussion about that point, but that's what I would say about it.
Also on the parlor roads, did y'all do the parlor roads?
We provided the project management services.
Yeah.
I'm
Was that
familiar
one-
with that.
That one ever corrected?
That has not been corrected. There has been a long discussion and correspondence, meetings between the parish and the contractor. And we have a plan to correct the elevation issue at that station. The contract has taken ownership of the error, and as you can imagine, when lawyers become involved, as you know, the correspondence, the timing, that causes some delays. Not to beat on attorneys, that's not what I'm meaning, but it was a sensitive situation, but in the end, the contractor has taken ownership of the error, and he intends, and has since the beginning, since August, has intended on correcting that issue. Where we stand now is that we met back in, I want to say early December. A formal proposal was cleaned up and submitted, and we are waiting for some administrative direction. I think they're looking at it again cautiously with those legalities that I mentioned a minute ago. So it was in fact built with the pump suctions too high. Contractor's taken ownership of it. They want to do the right thing. They do business in Louisiana. He wants to preserve his name, and it was an error. So we expect to have that resolved and back in line very soon.
All right, thank you, Jack.
Councilman LaFont?
Yeah. Carol, I got an email, I'd asked Reggie to send you email on road sales tax 2 money. I'm showing in the LAMP account, as of 12/31/17, that account has $5,546,249.15.
Correct.
All right, so, but it has a line, you said this is the account available for spending. LAMP is the actual cash, but keep in mind that most of these funds are dedicated, for example, to 2018 bond payments. What's the 2018 bond payment? Is that still 1.2?
800,000.
So, let me do some math here. So that leaves the balance at $4,746,249. And then right after that, it says 2018 projects, et cetera. Wait, no, excuse me. For example, 2018 projects, et cetera. I think we have 2.5 million right now dedicated for this 4L, right?
2.5, correct.
So if I take another 2.5, I have 4.7 million. $2.246, that's 2,246,249. Is that what we're gonna have left in that account after we finish this road project?
Hold on a second. Including the 2.5 million that you mentioned, there are other projects open still that comes out of that. Total projects, including that 2.5 million you're speaking of, is 3,318,000, including that 518. So if you take whatever you said the amount was.
What's those other projects?
Oh, God, all right. Hold on.
I'm just puzzled
I'm
like
getting
Dan.
right here. Project 16004, Parish Transportation Phase 1, 1,177,000. South Lafourche Airport, Project 16008, 412,000. 17025, East Side Airport Corridor, 1,182,000. And then the 2.5, obviously, for that you had mentioned for the project.
And that's a total of
4L.
how much?
3,318,000.
So that's still roughly, that still leaves us with over $1 million left.
Right. Now, these numbers that we look at, when you mentioned where I showed it had $900 and something thousand left in 160,
Yeah, what's,
161.
so that's
that's based on-
that's additional to this 5.5?
That's inclusive of it, actually, because the money that's in that LAMP account is money that's actually in that LAMP account. Money that we've collected over 2017, obviously, because it's December 31st, right, 2017.
Well, it should be 16 and 17. We really haven't did any projects in 16 or 17, beside those couple
The projects that I mentioned, though, are taken out every year until they spent. So they're in place there, I guess you could say, dedicated to that $3.3 million of projects that I've mentioned. So that's why that comes off of that every year as it rolls over.
All right, so that airport corridor, that's complete. Shouldn't that have been all paid out by now?
That one, I'd have to, I didn't know if it was complete or not. I'd have to look into that. Was it completed, or is that the turnaround? I'm not sure
No, I
off the
think
top of my
that's-
head.
I think that's when we redid the airport road not long ago.
That's, the work is complete.
Okay, Councilman Otan?
I'm not
Oh, you're
finished.
not done?
If, I could finish with that one. It could be shown in there just because we hadn't carried it forward yet. Should have been carried forward. I'd have to look into it, to be honest with you, to see why, if it's completed, it's still sitting there. Now, we don't actually do our carryovers till a little bit into this year, but it should not have been included in that. So that's something I'll have to check with my staff and see if it truly is indeed closed, why it wasn't included on those closeouts.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. If Mr. Jim, if we can, whatever Pizziola sent you, the final cost of each road, if we could, if you could send that to the council, we appreciate it. That way we can look over and make sure the roads are still in there.
As soon as I get it all, I'll get it to y'all.
Appreciate it.
Councilman Otan.
Yeah, first, with respect to the roads, I would say that at this point, we need to go back and, I don't want to say start over, but that was the fall of 2016 that we rode the roads and identified, and that's, I know I've got a couple of roads that have come apart since then, so the priorities may have changed. So, hate to say it, I'm not saying we're starting completely over, but I know we went through all this and we had the engineers work on it, in the fall of 2016, but it's kind of like time to go back and get back after it again with the intent, hopefully this time, that we spend, because I know in the fall of 2016, Daniel asked over and over and over how much money we had. We never got an answer, and it just never moved forward. But I'm fearful now that some of those priorities have changed. The other thing that I want to ask Jack was, I'm glad Jerry reminded me, what is the location of those pumps right now for Parlor Rules? Where are they physically at right now? Are they back on site or no?
The pumps would be located with sea level construction at this point, to the best of my knowledge. The plan moving forward is once the contractor's proposal to modify the pumps, to lengthen the pumps is accepted, that they would be done by a machine shop that would specialize in that kind of operation.
We just want to reiterate as a council that, we make sure that our warranty is taken care of, because we know the pump manufacturer had concerns that someone else was going to be modifying his pumps, so it may null and void their particular warranty. So we just got to make sure we stay on top of that.
Absolutely. That's one of the key points that we've hashed out and looked at in different, in detail.
Councilman Lorraine.
Yes, you should have enough money to do this project here, and by this summer, you should be ready to go for another $2 million project, according to what we have left in the account, just roughly guessing. We should do this project, we do it, and then these other streets that are broken, by the summer, we should kick another one off. Should have another 2 million.
Jack, thanks again for, you always do a really good report. In the future, can you make sure you include all reports, including all projects, including CDBG projects that you report upon?
Absolutely. And look, I wanted to, I kind of expected Mr. Melvin to bring that up. At one time, we were reporting on the CDBG projects that we manage, and there was a lot of duplication with some of the other engineers and architects on those very same projects. I was asked not to report on those by the council about 2 years ago. If you would like us to bring that back in and maybe coordinate with the engineers to try to streamline it, we'd be more than happy to report on any of those projects.
That would be good, especially right now. We don't get any information unless you all come before the council, so we're not hearing anything. And if it doesn't work out, we can change it back, but right now, we need some information, so that would be a good thing.
Absolutely. We'd be glad to.
Any other questions? Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
Any other engineers or architects? Please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good evening. Heather Klingman with Duplantis Design Group, 314 East Bayou Road. So go through projects here. First couple of projects are HMGP funded projects. HMGP, GOSEP, state FEMA funded projects. Timberland Pump Station, this project, we'll be issuing this out for bids this month. I've got a few things that I need to finalize with the administration, with staff, with DPW. On this pump station, it's a particularly tall pump station because of the FEMA requirements that are a little bit excessive, in my opinion, but they only pay for it if you follow their requirements. So I just need to go through a few things with DPW on that. And then same thing on the parish-wide pump station, a few things just to confirm with DPW, and then we'll be getting that out, finalizing that next month. The second project, Layton Pump Station, another HMGP project, that is in Phase 1 right now. We've finished the design plans, the preliminary design plans, submitted those to FEMA and GOSEP. I think they had them since October, actually September. They're reviewing those. They've submitted a couple of requests for information to us, which we've responded to, and just found out, believe it or not, last week, they wanted to do an archaeological survey on the project areas. So they did that last week, even with all the weather, but they did do that, and they're supposed to be submitting another request for information. I don't know, I haven't heard if there are any issues or findings that they came up with the archaeological survey, but that's kind of where that one stands. So once they get us their, additional information requests, we can, submit what they need back to them to get that one approved, for Phase 2 and to go to construction. Next project, Lafourche Parish Community Center. This is a CDBG-funded project, and I guess to your question about who designs, who manages, Jack at Pisciola, they're actually managing on this project. So we're reporting on it. I know he hasn't been including it in his because we've been reporting on it. But what's going on with this, all the plans have been finished. They've been submitted to the review agencies over at the state. I think the property is actually in the process of being reappraised. There was an appraisal done originally. There were a bunch of wetlands, that were found on the property, so it's being reappraised. Once that's done, I guess pending the appraisal and the findings of that, we can move forward our parish can move forward to purchase a property and then move forward into construction. Next project is streetlight permitting. We're not doing anything on these right now. There are no streetlights that have been submitted to us, so there's really no action going forward on that. And then the last project, another HMGP hazard mitigation project, home elevations. This is the one, if you remember, I think there's like 13 properties that had been approved for elevations on this one, but to date, we've got 3 completed, and then one other homeowner is about to start the elevation. None of the other homeowners have expressed any interest in it, just because they actually have to come up with 25% of the cost, and it's a big chunk of money, for people to come up with. So that's all the projects. If anyone has any questions, I'll try my best to answer.
Councilman LaFont?
So the plans for the community center in Lockport is complete?
Yes, sir.
Is there any possible way the council can get a copy so we can check it out?
Yeah. Well, I guess we can, if it needs to go through the administration, but yeah, we can submit them and get them to you. It's not a
We'd
problem.
like to see what we get and,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Lorraine?
Yeah, the Galliana Bridge is not on here, but has that ever been ironed out?
We're still working with the contractor on it. They submitted some requests for additional days. So I've actually, got something scheduled to meet with Mr. Barnes to kind of look over what they requested. It was for some high tide days, I think some additional rain days. So it has not been completely ironed out yet, but we're working on it.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Councilman
welcome.
Grow?
Yeah, on the streetlight permitting, I want to ask administration. We passed 2 resolutions in years past on the corner of Richfield and Talbot, Mr. Jones's district, right by Christ the Redeemer Church, about asking for a study on a traffic light. And after a while, I just found out this week, I received an email that South Central Planning had done a study on it, and it does warrant a traffic light. So if we can look into getting that, be much appreciated, for sure.
Councilman Jones?
Yeah, okay, I don't know if this question may be for the engineer or the administration, but I see a lot of pumps on the display. What about the alley door pump station?
Well, I have not been involved in that. That's not our firm. I'm not sure if it's a project that has been awarded, but I do not know anything about it. I guess
Do
would be
the administration
the
know?
answer.
Mr. Barnes is not here now, he's been working on it.
Were we doing that in-house?
I don't remember.
Mr. Haas, you had flipped on your light for a minute, or no? Okay. Councilman LaFont?
Heather, you mentioned that they're asking for high tide days. That bayou's controlled, we control the tide in that bayou, so that's a waste of time. I won't vote for that.
There, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I think we had talked about that at one point, you know, that it can be controlled. I think there were several days, you know, when they had everything formed up and they were ready to pour, but the water was high. You know, I think we had talked to them when it started to become an issue as far as the high tide goes, and told them, look, you know, after you had actually mentioned it, that we can control it, we can siphon the water out if need be. And then, you know, I think shortly after that, the tide started to go down.
You would think that a company of that status would be familiar with the Kofa Dam, where they can have built and worked anytime they wanted. So I just think it's a crock.
Yeah.
I won't support any extra days. The days that they set for rain, the time span that they should have done the job, I don't think it ever rained. If it did, it wasn't much. But after, when they ran out of time, then they caught some bad weather, so that's their own fault.
Yeah,
So I won't approve it. I won't vote for any, and I hope this council wouldn't.
okay.
So Heather, the project manager, I guess that was you from Duplantis, y'all confirmed whether or not they actually had high tide, if that prohibited them from working? You confirmed whether or not, I know you all usually make sure that the reports they're giving are accurate.
Yes.
Why are they accurate?
Yeah, yes, the reports were accurate. I mean, like, you know, like I said, when they had everything formed up, ready to pour, there were issues with the tide being high. I mean, you know, they probably had anywhere from, you know, 3 or 4 inches at the bottom of the forms, because the bayou was high at that particular time. You know, Mr. LaFawn is saying is that, you know, the siphons in the bayou, you can turn those on and get the bayou to, you know, to go down. When we talked to him about that, I think within a matter of like the next day or the following, the water had gone down. So like I said, I think there's a handful of days maybe that they were looking for high tide, but we do. I mean, we've got records of, you know, when they were trying to pour, when the tide was high, and that kind of stuff that we can go back on.
And I know you all give them credit for those days before, you don't submit that before council, or, I mean, you all give them credit for days when there were
Well,
legitimate problems, right?
I mean, yeah, when they're legitimate problems, not of their own, you know, making, then yes. And what'll happen is, we have to submit that change order to add days to the council, and the council, you know, reviews it and approves it, or, you know, I guess you can also deny it, you know, if the council doesn't agree with it.
Okay.
Ms. Ozel, one more question.
Councilman LaFont?
Do y'all have days that nobody was on the job at all, completely? Y'all had somebody monitoring that?
Yes, sir.
Because we can go back on Facebook and I can count the days that nobody was on the job site, just by what the people in Galliano were posting.
Right, yeah, but no,
All right.
we do have records of that.
Thank you.
Councilman Lorraine?
Yes, you can control the water, but there are times they let the water get a little bit too high. We don't have one siphon, we have 2 siphons. But there were some days where that south wind was blowing, and it's a hard job for the levee district to actually control it, because you got the commercial people wanting to pass, the boats going to Lafourche want to pass, and the water gets, you know, it's hard for them to do it, and they do it the best they can.
Yeah,
And, but there are times that they let it get a little bit too high.
yes, sir.
And I'm not taking up for anybody, I'm just telling you what it is, what I saw,
Right.
and what it really is.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other engineers? Repeat engineers?
Jack Plaisance, 115 Picciola Parkway. One item I wanted to mention, and I failed to, on the agenda tonight later, there's an item for the Dugas Canal project. That's a CDBG project. What you're going to have before you is an intergovernmental agreement with the Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District. One of the elements of the project to provide flood protection is actually part of a larger piece of property that the water district maintains. It's the gate structure at the head of the Dugas Canal. What the project entails is very small in nature. It's basically abandoning a culvert. It is a key element to the success of that project, and what you see is an agreement with all of the terms and conditions between by Lafourche Freshwater and Lafourche Parish government. It's went back and forth between the attorneys of both agencies several times, several revisions, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention. If it comes up with a question, I'd be glad to talk about it at that time or now.
Anyone? Councilman Jones?
No, I just need to ask Jack a question.
It's 33.
Go ahead.
You go.
If you're talking about 33, I received a call from Councilman Melvin, he asked to defer it.
It's deferred? That item's going to be
Actually, we
deferred
would.
tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll be back when it comes back up. Thank you.
Question for you, Jack.
Yes, sir.
Are you the engineer for the Alley Door Pump Station?
No, sir.
Okay. Can I get the administration, or request the administration to have the engineer and a report on the Alley Door Pump Station on February 27th meeting?
Mr. Jimmy, will you be able to do that? No, he just requested the administration to have the
The other engineer, yes.
the Alidar engineer.
Yeah, we can have him over here.
Okay, thank you. No other engineers, architects, okay. F, public wishing to address the council. The council invited a few people to speak tonight, so we're going to call on them now. Ms. Laura Batto? Are you ready? Were you here to speak before the council, or you're just here to, I know you and I had spoke about you coming before council. I wasn't sure if you were ready to say whatever it is.
Okay.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Laura Vado, 917 Jackson Street, Thibodaux, Louisiana. I think that we had talked about the budget and the amendment to the budget. I have talked to the Assistant Attorney General, and it is not a resolution. It is an amendment to the budget, and it is necessary to pay the amount that was given by the council to the Commission on Women.
Ms. Laura, I know we have some other problems with that amendment. I'd spoken with the DA
Well,
about that. and
we're talking about, you're talking about the grant. Regardless of the grant, according to the Assistant Attorney General, who looked at the budget and the
amendment.
the amendment and the council, your council bylaws. It is an amendment to the budget, and it is supposed to be paid.
Okay, I know you met with Mr. Jimmy, right?
I met with Mr. Jimmy, and I met with the Assistant Attorney General. And it is an amendment to the budget, and it is supposed to be paid. And if not, there is a, oh my God, I can't think of it.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I thought you were wanting to speak on something, so I know you may not have been prepared, but I wanted to give you a chance in case there was something to say.
No, I was only prepared to talk with Jimmy, Mr. Jimmy, about the amendment to the budget, and that it is supposed to be paid. And I am supposed to, according to the Assistant Attorney General, I am supposed to ask the finance director to pay it and then, and ask Mr. Jimmy, and if not, there is a, is it a mandamus?
Writ of mandamus, yeah.
Yes, right. I am supposed to do that.
Okay, well, Mr. Jimmy, did you have anything you wanted to reply, or do you have any idea whether or not you were going to be able to?
I have no idea what she's talking about.
The mandamus?
No, the 25,000, you know what she's talking about as
Oh, I
far
know
as?
that, but we have a problem with the amendments on the budget, so let Carol, he can answer that.
Mr. Himmel, can you answer if the
Yeah.
money is available?
Yeah, what caused the issue is that the way that the budget amendment was written, and if y'all recall, Mr. Jones had amended it. But when it was vetoed and then it came back up for y'all to override, it was overridden from the original budget amendment, which did not include the expense line item. For us to be able to properly, legally, I don't want to say legal, but for the proper procedures to pay it, it has to be assigned to an expense line item.
Well, I do realize that, but a supplemental can be made by the administration.
Yes, ma'am.
if you
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
chose to pay
Wait,
the
what are you saying that, that a supplemental is supposed to be paid? According to the amendment,
Mm-hmm.
and it was overridden,
Yes, ma'am.
that it is supposed to be paid.
Yes, ma'am. The problem that came in is, as I said, it was written, there was an error in the way that it was written. And they voted on the budget amendment that was written in error opposed to the amended budget amendment. I know
Well,
it sounds redundant, but
the amendment was amended, and then when it came back for us to override Parish President Cantrell's veto, something happened in the legislative office that the unamended amendment was presented to the council, and that's what we voted on. And so there was no line item to move the money to, so it goes back to where it was. And that is a problem. We will need Parish President Cantrell to do a supplemental. I'm not sure what the writ of mandamus or other things that you're talking about will apply, since there was no line item saying where the money went to. So we will need Parish President Cantrell, I'm thinking, to do a supplemental on that. But again, I'm not an attorney, I'm just guessing that's what's going to have to happen. Mr. Jones?
Yes, I thought I amended it from dues, from general fund 001 out of dues to fund 126, Commission for Women. The only thing that was missing was the line that in the fund 126 to grants. And last meeting,
Right.
the finance director said he'd do a supplemental to include that and pay the 25,000.
well, it said administration would have to do the supplemental to put the money in place, just like Ms. Lucy said. But the money is in 126.
Yeah.
So the money's there.
It's just don't have the expense line. And again, it's just an error in the way that it was written.
So the money can't be used for anything else, it'll just
It would have to
sit
sit
there.
back in there, and then at the end of 2018, if a supplemental's not made, it'll go back to wherever the funds came from.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying, Mr. Jimmy, that you're not going to pay the amount?
I didn't say anything. You said it.
You did last time I spoke with you.
I said that I don't know if we can pay the full amount because of constraints on the budget. In other words, and I know the money's there and on paper, but, we're going to look at it. We'll look at it hard.
Mr. Jones?
So, yes, Mr. Jones, it was an error on your part. And
No, it was an error on the council's part. Oh, okay. Well, no, because Jerry had amended it. It was something done through the legislative office. Mr. Jones had done it correctly.
We did it correctly. It was just typographical error when we did the veto override.
a typographical error, then should I go back to the Attorney General?
Well, our DA did rule on it as not qualifying for a clerical error. Our DA did issue an opinion today, I believe we received it, saying we did have some clerical errors in other amendments, and that, the intent was there, so those.
That's what I was told too. The intent was
But she
there.
said on this one, and one or two others, three others, two others, that it did not qualify to be considered a clerical error. We completely voted on the amendment, and it's just an error that the legislative office did not put forth the correct amendments for council to vote upon. And, you know, it's a bad situation. It is on the legislative office that this error occurred. Now, again, I didn't speak to the attorneys, you did, but we'll need Mr. Cantrell to get involved. Councilman Lafont?
Yeah, so, Ms. Laura,
Yes,
the money's in the budget,
right.
right? They got dues in the budget, and the money can't be spent on anything else.
Right.
No, except dues. There's several dues that could be paid out of it. It's up to Mr. Cantrell to do it. So if Mr. Cantrell wants to pay you, he can pay you. He can say whatever he wants about the budget. If we got the money, if we don't have the money. The money's already in the budget. The finance guy just said it. We got it on proof. It's on paper. It's in there. What Mr. Jones tried doing was just taking that money that was in the budget and saying specifically where it had to go. That's the only thing Mr. Jones was doing. The money's still in the budget. No matter how you look at it, it's still in that same spot. And previously, with all the other administrations, every time you got your money, it was, we never amended it to put it where it had to be spent. This year, we felt that we needed to do it to put a name on that amount of money. So that's the only thing. However, due to a clerical error, it didn't happen. We voted it wrong. So Mr. Jimmy still has the power to give you your money anytime he wants.
So, Mr. Jimmy, you are not going to give us our money.
Can you turn on your mic, Mr. Jimmy?
I didn't say it. You're trying to put some words.
So, Mr. Jimmy, you haven't decided yet,
I
then,
haven't
right?
decided.
Okay, can we maybe
We're gonna
next
look at
week
it,
to?
I'm gonna look at it, and we're gonna see, what we can do.
Councilman Jones?
Finance, question for the finance director. That money, that 25,000 is Fund 126, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Where else can you spend that money?
126.
That 25,000?
126.
That's the only fund you can spend it in?
Since it was, yes.
And
moved into there.
126, Fund 126 is for what?
Commission for Women?
Commission for Women. So it's simple fix to do a supplemental and just add a line item, 25,000 to grants and pay the Women's Commission. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir. You're right.
So we can't do anything else with the 25,000. If you try to do anything else, you have to come back before council.
Absolutely.
And I'm right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Councilman Lorraine?
Yes, the only thing I want to say is that for some reason, the Commission for Women would never be in the budget. We always had to make amendments, not just this administration, the prior administration, because I was the one that would always come up with it. But the question I got for you, Ms. Laura, is the only one that can put up a supplement is the parish president, not me, no other councilman. You can bark, you can scream, you can holler, but the only one that could do it is the parish president. Are you in dire need of that money?
Yes.
Is there a time period?
I met with the president of Nichols today about the, yes, there is a dire need for the money because we have to pay the funds for the Louisiana Girls Academy and the funds for the,
Commission?
well, it's a commission, but it's also the funds for the girls, for the, oh, God.
What's your deadline, Ms. Laura? Do you have a deadline, Laura? Do you have a date?
Yes, we do have a date. We,
I think we
we,
kind of put her on the spot. Let her
Right.
get her stuff.
No, I'm not trying to
Yeah.
put her on the
No, I'm just
spot.
saying, we did as a council when we asked her to come
Okay.
up and she didn't have her
Hold on.
paperwork with her.
I'm just
Okay.
asking if the money is necessary to get it as soon as possible, because
Yes.
first of all, you put on, it's a great program, and I attended some of them. Lucy has attended, Mr. Gandra has attended, and it brings in a lot of money to the city of Thibodaux, and, because they stay over 3-4
yes, it
nights,
does.
whatever. But my point is that I'm trying to make is that I don't want this thing to drag on. Is it gonna get done, or it's not gonna get done? Or if it gets done, we need to do it as soon as possible.
Yes,
That's the
Mr.
point I'm trying to
Jimmy.
make.
Okay, we're going to have to move on. Mr.
Yeah.
Lafont,
All right.
go
I
ahead
just got one
quickly.
quick, Ms. Bado, we
Yeah.
really appreciate you, and we're gonna try to get you money. Hope Mr. Jimmy has a heart and gives you money, because I'm gonna tell you, after I watched that young lady that came to the meeting with you a couple months ago, a homeless young lady that your program saved, 25,000 is small change to save such a beautiful young life like it did. So thank you, and hopefully we'll get you your money.
Right. Thank you, Laura. I requested Mr. Belanger to come to the meeting today. He's with South Central Planning, and he is another one, you have some handouts for us, he is another one that I believe Parish President Cantrell does not want to, or is considering not funding, not paying the fees, the dues for our membership with our Metropolitan Planning Organization. I will want to say before you begin, I've been attending these meetings, and I've been part of the MPO for the last 7 years, and I know how important it is you are to all of everyone who's your paying members. So can you explain to us what it is that you do and your
Certainly.
organization does, and the importance of the dollar amount of the dues and the importance of
Certainly.
continuing with you all?
My name is Kevin Belanger. I'm CEO of South Central Planning and Development Commission. I reside at 1189 Highway 55, Montague, Louisiana. I handed out a little sheet of paper, and I'm going to go real quickly through this, and at the very end, answer any of your questions. First of all, Mr. President, members of the council, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I understand, after hearing some of the previous discussion, this all may have just been a slight mistake, and hopefully that this can be corrected very easily. I understand that there's talk about not paying the dues, the local match for this fiscal year, to South Central for the services and activities that go on in Lafourche Parish. I know over the years there have been changes in the new elected officials and staffing, with sometimes the activities of our commissions not always being translated. To that, I would like to make you all aware of the 3 key areas of interest of our commission that we provide to Lafourche Parish. Planning. While the planning activities are diverse, the main professional services provided are grant writing, GIS mapping, business lending, redistricting services, project management, and advocacy. We are recognized by the United States Department of Commerce through their Economic Development Administration. We serve as their ears and eyes for this entire region. It is through this effort that we annually produce and maintain a comprehensive economic development strategy. It's called the SEDS, in which it has and will continue to provide millions of dollars of public infrastructure to this parish and throughout the region. Some of the parishes, we just highlighted some of the projects in this particular parish. And as you see, the Lafourche Airport Access Road, and by the way, previous to this, we probably have spent over the last 10, 15 years, I would equate about $15 to $20 million in and around Port Fourchon on a variety of bulkheading projects, road projects, waterline projects, etc. Right now, we're working on the Lafourche Airport Access Road. Without this program, without us being a part of that program, these monies you would not get. Absolutely not.
Now, we would not, I hate to interrupt you, we would not get them because your organization serves as an intermediary between us and those dollars, right?
Absolutely.
So we would not even be eligible
You
without...
would not have the economic development strategy that is derived regionally, which the requirement of the United States Department of Commerce is that you be a part of a regional plan. unless you contract with some other regional organization to do it, which I don't know of any.
Which we'd still be paying
But
fees
you
if
would
there
still
was
be
such an
paying for that service.
And what are our fees to you?
I have the exact amount in my book,
Ballpark?
but it's right roughly about 30,000 for
So
our annual
30,000
dues.
to be able to get millions? Is that-
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So the EPA grants, these are ones that we have done last year. Y'all remember the ones right here in Edgewood? We did $135,000. We have done a lot of brownfields revitalization. Those are the areas in your parish that we have worked in over the last 2 to 3 years. We're working on 2 LCDBG grants, Marydale, Rita. Those are in all of excess of $1 million. These are grants that we went after on your behalf and are pending, just depending upon the funding at the state level. We have completed the Lafourche Transportation Plan. We received federal transit money through the Federal Transit Administration. It was $100,000 with a local match, I think, of about $15,000. We did the Lafourche Parish Transit Feasibility Plan, which there was a slight match, I think, of about $10,000 to $15,000 at a cost of $120,000. We did the Human Services Coordinated Plan. Now, this is very important because for your Council on Aging, as you know, Ms. Esposito, that the Council on Aging goes after monies for wheelchair ramps, vehicles every year, and they go through the State Highway Department. It is mandated that they participate in this program to be eligible to collect any of those funds. Your Association for Retarded Citizens, I think that's what it's called now, and also the Council on Aging, and also any transits that may be in the area. You have to participate in this. Then we also do the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, which we do that for the dues of the MPO. Now, the dues of the MPO and the dues of our commission are 2 separate things. And we did a regional bicycle and pedestrian plan. We do a highway safety plan, which is ongoing. And we, cover to the, if you look at the local technical assistance, these are all covered by the dues that you pay for the MPO. These are millions of dollars that you would necessarily not get. We do a lot of stage zeros, traffic counts. We do all the grant applications for the Bayou Lafourche multi-use path at the Government Center. Safety concerns on local roads. 30 safety concerns since 2012 have been addressed along Lafourche Parish roadways alone. Local road safety programs, we coordinate road safety programs on local roads with LTAP, parish personnel, etc. We're also the advocacy for the north-south hurricane evacuation route. I'm happy to tell you that this summer, we're going to probably receive the record of decision, which is the final environmental document in which we can start finding monies to build this particular roadway. This is a road to take out people from this immediate area up to I-10 in a hurricane initiative. So we're recognized as an MPO. So what are the projects that we all are working on right now for your behalf? Those projects that are listed on here, the LaRose multi-use path, Chack Bay sidewalk rehab, Cutoff sidewalk rehab, Raceland sidewalk repair, Lockport Community Center pedestrian improvements, the Central Lafourche multi-use trail, and all of those programs that are listed in the program right now are roughly about $3 million. We also have a very widespread lending program. And if any of you operate businesses in Lafourche, you will know that you probably have talked to someone at some time or another that have used our facility and our monies. Right now, we have 17 active loans in Lafourche, and those equate to about $3 million. And as I was walking out the office, and by the way, this whole packet was put together from 2 o'clock to about 4 o'clock today, and we actually found that we lost about $700,000 that wasn't attributed to those 2.8 million. So we have about $3.5 million right now in and around Lafourche working. This is paid back every 5 years, and this has been going on since 1996, whereas we made over 125 loans to businesses in Lafourche Parish. So employees, we have right at about 100 employees, 35 of which live in Lafourche Parish. And I want to have this disclaimer at the very bottom that this is not all inclusive of all the things that we do. We work with a lot of nonprofits. We work anytime anybody calls, fire departments, if you work at the fire department, you know that we work with them to help do their community ratings by providing maps and digitized things like that. You all know every 10 years we do redistricting. We do it at a very, very low service. As being a member of our commission, we do it at cost. We don't try to make any kind of profit off of it. And if I can tell you just that piece alone, in Jefferson Parish, they pay probably about $300,000 for a redistricting plan. And right now, we continue to charge roughly about $12,000. So it's a huge savings, and that is the reason why our commission exists, which is to bring a level of savings from an economy of scale. And my last comment, I did hand this out, my second to last comment. We did hand this out. You could read some of the things that we do. Presently, Mr. Jones serves on our board, our full board. Mr. Jimmy does as well, along as Mr. Mark Atzenhofer. All of the mayors of the towns are also a member of our board. We've been existing since 1972. You guys created us out of an ordinance. You created us as a regional planning entity, and we hope that you see fit to continue to fund us so that we can continue the work on your behalf. Thank you.
And I also serve on that HTM-PO Policy Committee Board on behalf
Right.
of this council. And before that, I was part of the board as proxy for the mayor, city of Thibodaux. I appreciate you coming in. I just wanted the administration to be certain that he understood the importance of your organization. Councilman Groh?
Yeah, Kevin, I want to thank you, and having known you before I got on this council, I know how hard you work, just from conversations with you. And I'm very impressed with your staff. Anytime I've ever been over there, the forward thinking and the layouts of maps and roads to get to new developing areas is amazing. I mentioned earlier about a traffic study that was done by y'all department, so there's a lot of things, like you mentioned, that aren't showing up. And there's a lot of things that y'all do that we should entertain in terms of permitting and things like that. Some of the software that I know y'all have created that neighboring parishes or counties outside of the state are using that I think we should take a good hard look at, that y'all could manage for us. So I appreciate all your hard work. Hopefully your message is,
Well, I
is
hope
taken,
that I can have an opportunity to meet with him, to explain to him.
Right.
If he has any, real serious questions about what it means, we certainly want to make it clear that
Right.
it's an issue that you don't want to not pay for.
Well, we have
Because,
to, like you said.
You've been a member in good standing since the day that we were organized in 1972, and we really don't want to see that change. So
Thank you.
thank you for the opportunity.
I want to just mention the policy committee meeting is this Thursday.
That's correct.
Everyone's invited to attend. It begins at 11:30. There's lunches served. The meeting goes from 12 to 1. It's where every quarter we're able to meet with DOT reps face-to-face. They can answer any questions that we have. They give us updates. So that just that meeting alone, if anyone can attend, even if you're not a voting member, it's a good thing to attend, and you have a pretty decent attendance at those. Councilman Lorraine?
Yes, Kevin, on
Yes,
the, you said that, I know y'all have assisted things at the port, but the parish pays the dues, the port doesn't pay any dues, right?
That is correct.
But I could remember years ago, quite a few years ago,
They did.
they paid our dues.
That is correct.
And they got 2 roads blacktop at Fouchon. Because things were real bad that we couldn't afford to pay that. That might have been when I first started in the 80s. But I remember that. So we pay it, and they get to use it. Everybody gets to use it. I'm not just saying them, but they can, but at that time, we couldn't pay it. They paid it for us.
When I came to this position, I did hear of that issue, and it was advantageous for the port to pay the dues because
Right.
there was going to be millions of dollars lost.
Yeah,
And they saw fit to pay it. Now, however, they reap a lot of the benefits of the parish, there's no doubt.
that was when Mr. Falgood was in there, so that's quite a few years ago.
But I will say that this parish, as a whole, receives millions of dollars from the initiatives that
Right.
we have ongoing. With the MPO dues, the regular dues, which is about 30,000, the MPO is about 40. But keep in mind, for the 30, you can obtain millions of dollars with just public works monies, not to mention the savings that we bring to you on other projects. The $40,000 you're going to get back well over $1 million of capital improvements, as you know, Ms. Esposito, being on the MPO board. But I do want to say that over the last 20 years, our dues have been totally, throughout the region, $130,000 total for our entire commission. That's 38 cents per capita. We have never increased our dues, and we have been operating under those dues for the last 20 years, and we're not here to ask for more. I just want to show you that the level of efficiency has continued to be acknowledged at our commission. So, and it's because of the people that participate in it. And we have some really good employees that work on your behalf. So, thank you.
Councilman LaFont?
Kevin, I just want to thank you, but I also want to offer my condolences to you. I know that you lost a very good dear friend, Crabman from Montague. You've been helping out for years, so I just want to offer my condolences to you and Mr. Crabman's family.
Thank you very much. I will pass that on.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay, the next person that's been asked is Dirk with the Water District. Can you please state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Dirk Barrios. I'm the General Manager of the Lafourche Parish Water District at 5753 Highway 308 in Lockport. Okay, as we all know, we've had a trying time the last week with the weather conditions, and I'm here to try to bring you all up to date to kind of explain to you all what happened. And I think that's kind of what we're here for. Just to give you all an idea, we were anticipating some issues, and we initially sent out a public service announcement to the public asking them to conserve. All right. On the Wednesday, when the freezing temperatures arrived, our personnel, at least the people that would go out in the field and look for leaks and take care of the problems, were at work. We actively looked for anything that we could see, and on the first day, we found one leak, just one. We had issues at the north plant, and we tried to help the north plant with the south plant, and we just couldn't keep up with the production. You know, we basically, and I'll just give you an example. We probably average around 10 million gallons a day, more or less, parish-wide. We have 18 million gallon a day capacity, and that's if we could theoretically push every gallon that the plant can make on a 24-hour basis. I put the numbers to it. We have almost 33,000 customers. You can check my math. If you take 30% of the customers and you multiply 1 gallon a minute, 1,440 minutes in a day, and you get over 14 million gallons of water. If you add that 14 million gallons of water to 10 million gallons of daily production, you get 24 million gallons. Obviously, 24 is bigger than 18. You know, we didn't realize that's what was happening in the beginning. We thought we would have leaks. Past experience tell us. Cold weather comes, water lines break. Next day, we did the same thing. And by the way, we issued our first boil water advisory that night. Okay. Next day, we did the same thing. We had personnel looking out for leaks, going around, checking customers, trying to help customers out as best as we possibly could. That morning, we issued our second boil water advisory because another portion of the parish had problems. That was the 6th Ward area. We get a call from Terrebonne Parish. There's 2 locations in the parish. We buy water from Terrebonne. They went on a boil water advisory. So we had to issue our third boil water advisory that morning. We went around checking with customers calling. And look, we had, I'll give you the number. In 4 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we checked with the phone company. We had 4,868 incoming calls. Okay, most of that's customers, frozen pipes, broken pipes, what have you. So anyway, we were still receiving the customers. So we sent out a public service announcement, you know, auto dialing and everything, and trying to get the people to report leaks, help us look for leaks. You know, Lafourche Parish is a big area. When we normally have leaks, we have enough booster stations, tanks in the area, that we have a SCADA system that allows us to keep track of what's going on. Normally, when a leak happens between point A and point B, you see some tank drops, pressure differences. That's not what occurred in this time. Everything went down at the same time. You know, it's a monumental task to try to find a leak when something like that happens. We walk certain areas of the parish, my guys tell me 3 and 4 times, thinking as the pressures came up, we'd find leaks. On that day, we found, on the Thursday, we found one more leak. Again, neither one of these leaks amounted to anything, okay? We then sent off a robocall dial and trying to get the customers to find the leak. So that, you know, that was on the Thursday. On the Friday, we started to see a little bit of movement. When we got back to work on the Friday, we had water in the cutoff tank. Now, again, understand what's happening. Wednesday was freezing. It barely got out of freezing temperatures all day, and definitely all night. Thursday was freezing. In the afternoon, got into the 40-something degree range. Pipes started to thaw out. People started having, they weren't calling us and telling us they didn't have any water. They were calling us and telling us they had leaks. Okay? So we started trying to help them out by shutting off their water so they can make their repairs, what have you. Friday, we had a little slight freeze Friday. Not hard freeze, and it was warm. I think it was in the 50-degree range Friday. That's when things started to happen. I mean, everybody was calling, you know, neighbor might have had water, they didn't have water. They didn't understand what was broken pipe, you know, and stuff like that. So that night, we made a decision, and the people in the Bayou Blue area, and Mr. Bourgeois is not here. I do have a board member who lives on the end of Bayou Blue who can account for this. And people in the racing area, they didn't have any water, basically, you know, if any, when they turn on their faucets. We made a decision to try something. Now, you got to realize that when you're looking at water, you have issues. You have a non-potable site, because the plant is along, we all know by Lafourche, and all y'all are familiar with where South Coast Gas is located out on LA1 and the old Exxon pipeline refinery on 308. That's where the two plants separate. So our north plant, which is in the Thibodaux area, right next to Country Club, basically services everything north of Thibodaux, 6th Ward area, Bayou Blue, and up to Raceland. South plant covers everything else, the Salmons, Gaines, and all the way to Fouchon. And South plant, because of the proximity close to the plant, there was an area from Intercoastal Canal all the way including the Salmons, Gaines, and up to that point in Raceland that was still considered potable, did not go on the extreme low pressures. So you can't cross-contaminate. You can't serve a non-potable system with a potable system, because if something happens on the potable side, then you take a chance of contaminating the potable side. So we had to figure out something. One of our guys, and I believe it's the guy that's sitting back here right here, Wayne Gautreau, said, look, Dirk, we have a fire hydrant right next to the block valve. So the first thing I did was call my superintendent. I said, do you have 2-inch saddles? He said, yes. We have backflow preventers, and we hooked it up to the hydrant. And I feel with that and the idea that people were starting to realize that broken lines quit running their water like they were, we were able to give the people in the Bayou Blue and Racing area the bare minimum at that time. The next day, things had improved dramatically. We took our Board of Health samples, which was on the Saturday, with the anticipation of getting good Board of Health results on the Sunday. And it just started building up and building up and building up. And then, when we left the Saturday, we felt great. We did not find, we found a total of 9 leaks in 5 days. None of the 9 leaks are of any size, of any significance. None on a major line. Biggest line had one line in Golden Meadow that was 8-inch, and it was some bolts that was leaking that were rusted off, and we need to change the bolts. So it was just the oozing of the water. The only thing we can tell y'all is, secondly, I want to first of all thank Caroline Eshte and Chris Boudreau with the parish. They helped us out a lot. When we had to get stuff out, they have the facilities, they have the wherewithal, and they helped us. Also, the sheriff's office did a lot. When their people were patrolling, they were actively looking for leaks for us. So we had a lot of eyes out there, a lot of help. And J.B. Degravel with the sheriff's office was in constant contact with me. So we appreciate all the help we had.
So I know when I spoke to you, you said no, y'all never turned the water off.
No, ma'am.
People were thinking y'all cut them off, so can you?
Okay, well, I was going to say that, but I wasn't going to say it. I decided
I
not
just
to.
think
But
people
being you
should be
brought it
clear.
up, we have never discussed, it's not part of our policy, it's not something we can do to shut off the plants. We do not turn people's water off unless they ask us, or if it's an emergency and something, if somebody's house is flooding, we'll go and shut it off. That is not something that we do. We don't, the plant is the heart and soul of the water system. If you shut the plant off, and I know that some water systems have done it, and I'm sure that that's what might have brought the idea that people say, well, they're going to try to recoup the system. No, that was never discussed. It was never mentioned, and we didn't do it. And I don't know how that, that had got started, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. That's not something that came from us. The only thing I can say right now, and we're reading water meters right now, and I talked to some of our meter readers this afternoon, and I can attest, some people are going to have some tremendously high water bills. And some people that did not have leaks. I'm not talking about people with broken lines. I'm talking about people that just, we went in certain subdivisions, I'm not going to mention them, thinking we had leaks because there was clear water running in the canal. And as we went down the streets, we see hose pipes constantly running. Water system is not designed to be able to handle that type of demand on a 24-hour period. We understand that people want to make sure that their water lines don't break, especially if it's in a wall. We understand that. The only thing I'm asking, and look, this is just January, and I'm hearing, and I'm hoping it's not right, that come sometimes around Mardi Gras, we may have a worse cold snap. Just hoping that people realize, look, if you want to, I don't condone it, I don't run water at my house, but I mean, look, everybody's different, and I understand that. We're just asking, we need help from the community. The water system, no water system can handle that kind of demand on their system. Orleans Parish is having problems. Jefferson Parish has problems. Terrebonne Parish had problems. Every water system had some kind of problems. And those that didn't have problems, I heard made threats to their customers, to get them to understand what was going on. I'm not going to threaten the customer. They pay for that water. Okay? And that's not my position. It's not my authority to do that. We just need help. We need the people to understand if you're going to run a stream, make it just a little bit of water. And after, don't let it run all day when you go to work, because that's what we were seeing. And I mean, and you can ask the guys that work for us, and you can ask the sheriff's deputies that were out there looking. It's not just one person that told me this. It's numerous people that told me this. And again, I understand, people that live and that have exposed pipes. But, I mean, you just can't make more water than the system can handle. And it's just obvious to me after only 9 leaks, very small leaks, that was something completely out of our control. And I hear all the stuff that's being said about the water system, about me in particular. Hey, it comes with the territory. Okay, that's my job. And I'm here to do a job. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to do what's right and treat everybody the same. And my biggest concern is that when we're going to have another cold snap, whether it's this year, next year, year out, whatever, people are going to do the same thing. And we're going to be in the same boat we are today. Water system cannot handle it. I don't care how Terrebonne Parish has ran 30 million gallons. Listen to what I'm telling you. 30 million gallons. Still have boil water advisories. And that's, they're a little bit bigger than we are because we don't have the city of Thibodeau. Okay? It's, we're looking to make improvements at our North plant, but even the improvements wouldn't, we couldn't do it with the improvements. It just couldn't do it. We just cannot sustain, for one day, maybe. When it starts getting 2 and 3 days, and like this one, 2 days of real hard freeze, and I think what happened was that little one that we had before, people kind of got scared. Okay? And unfortunately for Bayou Blue and for Raceland, the way our system is designed, they're at the end of the system. Just like at Fouchon. Fouchon and Leeville on the southern part of the system, first one to go down. And it just kind of came, and it works its way up. Furthest one from the plant gets the water last. Okay, and if your neighbors and your friends upstream are not thinking about you, you're not going to get it when that kind of demand is on the system. I mean, you know, anyway, that's all I have to say.
Anyone have any questions? Councilman LaFont?
Dirk, I just want to thank you. I called you in the midst of it, and you took my call. I think we spent about 30 minutes on the phone explaining everything. I want to thank you. I think you did a fabulous job. I understand the concerns, and like you say, and I've seen people freezing their trees for the icicles. And, you know, I did it years ago before I even thought about being a councilman. I froze a tree already during the freeze. But so I'm saying that's probably not a good thing to do, is just putting your water on to freeze a tree or freeze your kid's playground area or whatever. People want to see the icicles. I don't know if y'all seen it on Facebook. People put it all over.
I would like to say this one more thing. If any one of y'all want to come and sit down and talk to me, please call me. I would be glad. I'd welcome it.
Well,
Because I don't think that anybody really realizes what it takes to make a gallon of water out of that bayou. That's not an easy undertaking. And, you know, and our guys have to be licensed by the state. You know, they're professional people. And we have very dedicated people. And I'm going to give y'all, just to show y'all, and I kind of ran some numbers, and that's the kind of person I am. I look for numbers and I try to find stuff to just kind of bring it up. Just to give y'all an idea. We had, for 5 days, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm losing track of times, excuse me, 916 and a half hours of overtime. Now we only have 63 employees. Can you imagine? 5 days. I'm just trying to make a point that we were not sitting on our hands, not doing our job. You know, that, and the guys were exhausted. If we'd have had a major leak, we probably would have had to call a contractor out to come and help us. Our guys were exhausted. I mean, it was up early in the morning, in the cold weather, not in a truck. Most of them, and Wayne can verify that because he was probably out there with them half the time, walking the lines because the tides are low, and what happens is sometimes when you have a leak, it'll leak in the drainage canal and no one sees it. So we physically walk the lines in areas where if it's in a subdivision, you can see it, but there we have places where the water lines are not easily, you can't tell the grasses are tall, there's drainage canals. And look, we have our basic stuff now, just one of the guys said, look, it's small, we can wait till tomorrow, and I told him, we'll fix it. I mean, these guys are just exhausted. I mean, it's just getting to that point, with everything that's been going on. But anyway, I just want it to be that the public understands. It's not that we don't want to give them the water, it's just that we just can't meet the demand that's there.
okay. Councilman Perilou?
Hey, Dirk, thanks for coming to explain that, about being at the end of the line and having the least amount of pressure and stuff. My question is not for the folks that ran water hoses to the bayou to keep their lines flowing. What about people that may live in elevated homes that had a busted pipe and might not have noticed it at first and had a few hours of loss? Are they going to be hit with some really sky-high water bills?
The only thing I can tell you, Mr. Perilou, is that if they can show us they had a broken line, we usually give them a broken line adjustment.
Okay. So like if they called a service, a plumber service out or something,
Yeah, they need to show us,
they'll get some
physically
relief.
show us something. We'll usually honor it. We just want people to understand that we're not here to. It's not that we're trying to make all kind of money on them. It costs us money to do that.
Right.
You got to pump the water, you got to use the chemicals, you got the labor force, you got everything in there. So I mean, we can't give it away, and we got bonds to pay off, just like y'all have bonds to pay off. So I mean, you can't give it away. And I'm just going to give you, one more thing. When one of my meter readers that I was speaking this afternoon, and he was, is reading meters, and this one person in this area came up to him and asked him, "Can you check if I have a leak?" So he's reading the meter, so it's obviously easy for him to check. He looks at it, he said, "No, ma'am, you don't have a leak." "Can you tell me what my consumption is?" Well, they have the ability to tell him if it's high consumption, about what it is, and her consumption is 100,000 gallons, okay? Now, 100,000 gallons for a household, that tank we have, what we call North Raceland, holds 150,000 gallons. Okay, so it's just 150,000 gallons shy. She did not have a leak. She more than likely, and I can only assume, and I understand that she ran her faucets for 4 days, or 3 days, or whatever. You know, so I mean, you know, and one of the neighbors says, well, I guess I need to, you know, well, I need to keep my mouth shut, but
Yeah, well,
I
let's-
say too much.
Just really quick, I will make an appointment to go and tour and talk with you. I appreciate the time you spent with me. You gave me something to respond to the 5,000 Bayou Blue customers that were calling me. But I know, really quickly, we have Deanna Lafont with Energy. You said energy issues may have played a part in this, and so...
Well, it didn't help, okay? And her and I have been talking, and we've kind of, you know, handled that situation. I do believe no matter what happened with the drought in the system, that we wouldn't have been able to maintain it. It would have just happened a little bit later. So, I mean, I don't think that it didn't help. It probably progressed it a lot, you know, faster than what would have happened. But we still would have had the issues.
Okay.
Because you obviously can't, you know, you can't keep up with the amount of demand that we had. But
Okay.
anyway,
Well, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. I guess it's my turn now, huh? Yes, Deanna. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Deanna LaFont, 4539 Highway 308 in Raceland. So I'm going to thank Dirk for doing a good job of explaining a lot of things on my behalf. But, you know, similar to the water district, we were in a you know, kind of hairy situation. Cold weather consumption is a lot more taxing on our system than hot weather consumption. And you would think, you know, when it's 150 degrees outside, that, you know, there's a lot of demand on our system, and there is. But if you think about how your air conditioning unit works, you know, it cycles on and off. Heating systems typically are strip heating systems. So you have something red that's glowing. You know, if you have electric heating, it's just glowing, 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 and you have something blowing on it. So it's a much higher demand. And, you know, that we have a lot of homes that are total electric. So if you have a total electric home that's on high demand, strip heating, you have people home from work and school because you can't go anywhere. So it's very, very taxing on our system. So, you know, just kind of an overview of the things that happened in Thibodaux. We ended up, you know, because of the cold weather, sustaining damage to our Thibodaux substation. Because of the damage and the overloading condition, we're unable to keep power on to all of our customers in Thibodaux. So, you know, we had guys out there similar to Dirk all day, all night, you know, cold, wet, in conditions that, you know, I'm thankful that I don't have to work in. So at some point, we had to make a decision on how we're going to make repairs to our substation, taking into consideration the safety of our employees and the safety of, you know, our customers. So we had about 3,000 customers in Thibodaux, you know, kind of in that St. Mary area, that had been without a power for going on 9 hours. And we were starting to get calls about, you know, the fact that these folks have been without power for 9 hours and it's cold and, you know, what's going to happen. So we sat there and we decided that we had to, you know, we made the strategic decision to de-energize some customers for a short period of time to make the repair to our substation to allow us to pick up all of the customers in Thibodaux. So we went ahead and did that. You know, we did a proactive dialer, which the process to do that is usually, we don't always work the fastest. You know, we have to run a report to find out behind which device, you know, these customers are. We have to, you know, it has to go through our Jackson, our folks in Jackson, because they're the ones who do the calls. The message has to be approved. So we were working on getting the proactive dialer out, and, you know, we ended up having to de-energize those customers. And it was a simultaneous activity where we were de-energizing those customers, working to pick up the customers that had been out for 9 hours. And we knew that when we made that fairly simple repair to the substation, we said it was going to take 2 hours, and that actually took us less than an hour and a half. We knew that once we made that repair to the substation that we were going to be able to pick up all of Thibodaux. So without us doing that swap, and don't get me wrong, we could have kept the customers that were out longer, but we felt that we had an opportunity to pick those customers up, to allow them to start heating their homes, to kind of get in a better situation than they were in. So, we made the decision to go ahead and de-energize those customers, and it was kind of a very short timeline. Whenever, substation pulled the trigger and said, we're going to do this, we didn't have a lot of time. We did a proactive dialer. I think the customers that were out got the call maybe 30 minutes before we put them in. It took us about 74 minutes to make that substation repair. We were able to move our load around and pick up most people. Now, I will tell you that section behind St. Mary didn't all come up at once. So we had some customers that came up right away when we tried to put those feeders in, and then we had one feeder that was overloaded. So when that happened, our guys had to get out and start doing something that we call it step restoration, but essentially it's getting in the line and starting to restore customers in a progression. Because if you try to put them all in at once, sometimes we just can't hold them. Everybody's heaters have been off and they're kind of just pulling that big draw at once. So I would say, I'm sure I'm anticipating the next question that may be coming. If we have cold weather coming again, what was going to happen? So, like everybody else, we get to the end of a situation like this that was very difficult and very taxing. And we go through our lessons learned. We look at, things that we could have done better. We look at, our system. We have areas now that have bigger fuses because, we know that it can't hold the cold load. We've had a lot of growth in Thibodaux, and our planning engineers look at a normal load cycle whenever we build facilities. But this cold weather load is very hard. I would say that if we didn't have that damage to the substation, I'm fairly confident that we would have been able to hold all of Thibodaux. I'm pretty confident that we would have been able to hold all of Thibodaux. We probably would have had some isolated incidents, but it wouldn't have been, what it looks like. So, we've gone through and we've looked at, we've reviewed the system, we've fixed some things. We've really looked at the way that we communicate with our customers and our critical customers. As Dirk and I said, we spent probably about 45 minutes together a couple of days ago and just went through our communication processes and, how we can avoid, things like that happening again in the future. So, we're human and we work hard and, we did the best we could.
Any questions? Well, thank you. And I agree that you all are human, but that you all worked very hard. I know the Water District as well, and we appreciate all that you do. I know some of your customers who may be out for 9 hours would like longer than 9 hours.
You might have been on the side that didn't come up. It was, and just to be candid with you, I told the guys in the office, this restoration process, being a mother, whenever we had kids, I was the one having the baby, not ever waiting for the baby to come. But it felt like it must be what a young father feels like when they're waiting for that baby to come, because you get the line in and it doesn't hold, and the guys are on the field trying to pick up customers, and it was just a lot of planning and a lot of watching and a lot of looking at our systems, through SCADA and seeing, where we can move load around, and then trying to communicate with the guys in the field about, we think if we reconfigure this system right here that we can pick up these customers. Okay, we got them in. We think if we can reconfigure this system here, we can pick up customers. So, I feel confident that if we have to do this again, that we'll be in a better position. And, I think if we wouldn't have lost that crucial piece of our substation, we probably would have fared much better.
Okay. Cool. Councilman
Thank you for the explanation.
You're welcome.
I do have a question about at-risk citizens in a time like that, like seniors and the like. Is there some kind of process or do you guys have statistics of locations of vulnerable people that they may need to be sheltered or something during a 9 or 10 hour process in freezing cold weather?
What we do have is something that's called a LIF3 customer list, and those are customers that have, I guess, doctor approval that they need electricity. But I'll tell you, in situations like this, it's not like, there are transformers blown in front of their house and we can hurry up and send a truck to refuse it. We had, widespread outages. We communicate with our community partners through the process and give the best estimates that we think we can. So, whenever, we knew that some customers weren't going to come up. I don't think we had any in Lafourche, but we had some in Terrebonne. As soon as we realized that those customers would be out overnight, I called Terrebonne EOC and said, I'm sorry, it's 10 o'clock and our guys have been working for 16 hours and they have to go home so that they can work tomorrow, and we're unable to get to these folks. So, at that point, that's, kind of where we step in, the best we can do. But we don't really have flagging.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilman Otan?
If I can address Corey, so the parish's OEP does have shelters identified, and actually Eric Benoit sends out a notice, he did for the previous freeze as well as this one, to those shelters. For instance, the Lockport Fire Department Central Stations one has a generator. So they are identified, and if the parish was to be contacted with people that are without and need a place to shelter, because of cold weather events, the parish does have a system in place. And they report, I think that gets reported to the state, actually. They answer to the state to identify where those shelters are at.
Councilman LaFont?
Mr. Jimmy, I didn't see, but did y'all put those locations out for residents? I didn't see any posts coming across the parish feed. Maybe in the future, if y'all can put that out where they know that they can go, especially for 9 hours. I'm sure it gets pretty cold in a trailer with no insulation for 9 hours.
Yeah, it's definitely not an ideal situation.
Mr. Jimmy?
Well, we'll put it out if we had the information, and we'll try to get it, and I'm sure Eric has it. But also, we got to make sure that if we do put it out, that the place is open so they can go in there.
Yeah, he confirms it, Mr. Jimmy. So the last two events, he actually confirms, he sends an email out to all the different agencies. I say that because I'm one of them that's in the email chain, so I see it. But yeah, maybe we could put something on the parish website that they can contact the OEP if there's an issue.
Right, because people were contacting me and I had no idea where to send them as far as any kind of shelter. Okay. Thank you, Deanna.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to try to get through the rest with warp speed. G, executive session.
Do we need to go back to the?
Oh, hang on a second, hang on.
Do you want to return to the agenda to
Yeah,
item 6?
I need to return to item 6. Can I get?
I'd like to make a motion to deviate back to number 6.
Thank you. Can I have a second? Moved by Councilman Otis, second by Councilman LaFont. Sorry, I almost forgot you, Mr. Harris Griffin. No, not Mr. Harris Griffin. Dr. John King. Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes 7-0-2.
Item 6.
Item 6, Dr. King. Lafourche Parish Coroner to speak on a new location of the coroner's office, and this was deferred from January 9th, 2018 meeting.
I thought all my problems were bad until I'm hearing some of these other things going on tonight. I'm Dr. King. I'm the coroner parish. I've been so since 2008, May the 31st on a Friday.
Can you make sure the mic's on?
Is it on? Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all letting me give you a synopsis of what's going on at this point in time.
You may have to lean in a little closer because.
Okay.
Thank you.
Essentially what's happened at this point in time is that we are in desperate need probably for a new building. I've discussed this with President Cantrell and several other council people, and I think everyone is in full cooperation that we probably need to get this building done and get through this as quickly as we can. I was listening to some of the other speakers in that, and they were talking about this supplemental need and a capital outlook in order to gain access to funds that are supposedly there, and it's been passed by the council from the standpoint of being able to attain these funds. It just has to be okayed by you, Mr. Cantrell. So armed with that, I'd just like to give you a little bit, since a lot of you may or may not know what we do. I understand that some of you don't realize what this office is responsible for, and I just sort of like to highlight a little bit, if I can, about what we do. The parish, the coroner's office in Lafourche, just like any of the other coroner's offices in the parish, is a state entity. We're the triad of the sheriff's office, the DA's office, and then the coroner's office in order to distribute and make sure that justice is served to the citizens of Lafourche in any issue that occurs as a result of death or anything along those lines. We also, in the coroner's office, are responsible for rapes in this parish, as well as to maintain the psychiatric wellness of our community, our parish, if you will.
Excuse me, can we have silence in the chambers? I'm having a hard time hearing you. Thank you.
To maintain the psychiatric needs of Lafourche Parish. And so we're on the front and the forefront, a lot of times, one of the first responders, if you will, to tragic issues. And as a result, and I never realized until I took the job how important this office really was. Essentially, what I'm here for today is to sort of elucidate as to what's going on with our building at this point in time. And what that entails and what it involves is the fact that we're in dire need of a new building. That building, the building issues right now is that our construction is old. I've given you a layout of all the different things that we're talking about. I can go through them really quickly, very quickly. We've painted over rotten wood. We have the left side of our garage going. We have mold and mildew on one side of the building. And when I first took office in 2008, the parish, the coroner's office of Lafourche was unable to have LOPA donations as well as the I-Bank donations as well. Those donations are important because those are things that would be done in the case of someone that's in dire need, especially a Lafourche Parish citizen, if you will, for transplant. Because LOPA harvests from us, then some of those organs are then provided for the citizens of Lafourche based on the fact that the parish also contributes to their bank for different things, bones, tendons, not necessarily organ, because that's generally done at the hospitals and that, and eyes, especially corneas. So these are the things that we're charged with in order to make sure that Lafourche is served, if you will. That mold and mildew that you're seeing on page 8 is a possibility that we will be unable to donate to LOPA any further, and or the I-Bank, because the I-Bank generally follows LOPA. That is in our building, and some of these pictures demonstrate a lot of this because it's leaking now. The building has done its job. It was built in 1980. Essentially what it amounts to is we're going to go from a floor plan of 1,700 square feet approximately to about 2,300 square feet, which would benefit us greatly. But more importantly, the roof won't leak, and that's what we're dealing with right now. If you look at some of these pictures there, we have rotten wood. We've repaired this thing over and over and over. The administration before you did an awesome job in making sure that we were well taken care of from the standpoint of making corrections to this building and that. And it served its purpose. It's done a great job. We have storage problems that we're going through right now. We also have the functionality of the building is just not as adequate as it once was. We're up to date on refrigeration from the standpoint of bodies. And in one of these pictures, if you'll look, we actually have a refrigerator 18-wheeler that we acquired during Gustav through some manipulations that occurred at that time. And we actually had Homa's, all of Homa's deceased people, if you will, as well as ours, and the number of bodies was quite a lot. And we stored them in a refrigeration unit that was outside on a generator of our building. Essentially, our refrigeration in our present cooler is down. It's hard to maintain that, not to mention the fact that the ergonomic safety of our personnel in that is not being heated, in the sense that we can have lifters to lift bodies in and out of these things, and some of these people are quite heavy, if you will. So all of this could be solved with this building and some of the things that we're going to do in order to gain that ability or capability, if you will. Our storage is inadequate. That's one of our issues. We have boxes and things everywhere, even where we have our reception room for patients, not patients, for deceased families. These boxes are stored in this room because we have no other storage now. And it's not pleasant for someone who has just had a tragic event occur to have to sit next to a box. My secretary at the coroner's office, actually, just below her windows on page 25, shows a lot of leakage from the window seal, if you will. We've been dealing with this for a time. If you look at that in the right corner of that picture, it also has mold and mildew in there. This is my greatest fear, and there again, it goes back to LOPA and some of the abilities to do donations for cadaver donations for transplant, if you will. The other thing is we need more space in order to interview citizens coming in that want us to take care of their relatives' psychiatric issues that are going on at the time that they come into our building. We have no place to do that. It's not a very nice place. If you look at one of the pictures here, it's where our personnel actually sits. This is where we bring these families into and then gain our knowledge of what's going on in their situation. And there again, that's not a very pleasant experience, if you will. The main reason for this, for us asking for this building, because we've worked through all these problems that we've had right now, the main reason, and this was brought to my attention by my lawyer that for the coroner's office, if you will. We're sitting in a meeting and he makes the comment that, John, when did they build that school next to you? And I said, And the comment was made that if one of these children accidentally sees one of these bodies, you can't imagine what that child will go through as far as the ramifications that he'll have to or she'll have to incur as a result of those kinds of problems. We have never had that issue occur, but I don't doubt that it can happen, and if it does, it's going to be a major ordeal in that situation. So this school is literally within 20 yards of us. There's no way to put up a fence unless you do a high fence like they do for deer, and essentially put things on top of that, because the buses sit higher than any fence that you could give, probably to the tune of about 18 feet. That was one of the remedies that we thought of and then continue in our building, but I really believe that that's not the way to do this. Okay, we're going to go from a 1,700 square foot to a 2,291 square foot building that will actually help us in every aspect that we need with the building problems that we're having right now. Our building was built in 1980, as I said before. It structurally is not sound anymore. We have mold and mildew. Our storage is very inadequate. We have to do something with that. Our employee health is a risk, and just I demonstrated with just the picture beneath the windowsill of the mold and mildew that's occurring there. And these things are happening as a result of this building being so old. The other thing is the disability access, we have none. We've not had to face that yet because we've had no disabled citizens coming into our facility, but it is going to happen, and we can't let them in the door because we don't have that capability. This building will solve that as well, and it has disability bathrooms as well. One of the other things that we're looking at is that the employee safety, as I'll demonstrate in a couple of the other little pictures that I'm going to show you at the very end of this presentation. But our main and most important concern here is that we don't traumatize any children, and I think that's most important. And it should be your importance as well, or it should be something that you recognize as important as well. If you look at the building, the new one, the building will comply with any of the Disability Act that we have. It's well lit, it's accessible. The other things that occur is that we'll have security cameras, and we've always wanted in this building to have the capability to notify in the case of a situation, which we can have, and it has almost occurred, and thank goodness one of the sheriff's people were over there very quickly, where a problem can occur with a citizen, and that citizen can become irate. And then at that situation could possibly take it out on one of my employees, if you will. We don't want that to happen. So we've asked for a button, we've never got it, an alert button for the sheriff's office, and that was one of the things that we needed as well. Essentially, security cameras, storage, and we need to expedite this purchase as quickly as we can. It could take us up to 6 to 9 months to get into this building with some of the things that we're going to need to do in order to make it efficient for us to use, if you will, from the standpoint of our autopsy room and drainage and that sort. So I ask and essentially really ask sternly that we go ahead and get this capital outlook usage or supplemental thing that needs to be done. I understand, and you went through some of the terminology with the other speaker here as well, but this is a situation where we really have to move forward. And I think it's more important for these children not to have to witness anything like this if it were to occur. I'm not saying that it will, and we do everything we can not to have that occur, but it's one of these things that can happen. Any questions? Thank y'all.
Let me ask you a question.
Councilman Perilou?
Yeah, go ahead.
Dr. King, thank you for the presentation. I did a tour of that building, and it's deplorable.
Yeah.
I mean, the moisture in there, the mold, I would not want to work in there. So I feel for you and your employees that do have to go through that. My son just went from lower elementary to upper elementary, so for the past year, he's been subjected to the possibility of seeing something there, which is a scary thought,
And
like
I
you
don't want to
said.
be a problem for the community.
Absolutely. I urge all these council members, if you haven't gone tour that facility, take 20 minutes out of your day and go check it out. You will approve this funding in a heartbeat. They're in dire need of a new facility. I went home and took a shower immediately after I left there. I'm sorry, it's
I
true.
would too.
So I definitely support this purchase. I think you guys deserve it and need it desperately. So thank you.
Councilman Otan?
Yeah, Dr. King, I just wanted to thank you for your public service. I know you have a successful practice, and this can oftentimes be, I'm sure, a thorn in your side. And as I have so often, I want to thank your staff, most of whom are here. I know they oftentimes have to deal with irrational people, so like you said, I think it'd be a really good move. And I think you fully have a supportive council up here, and I believe the administration will want to move forward too. I would hope so. But thank you for your presentation.
Councilman Lorraine?
Yeah, I'm just curious, looking at the condition of the building and all autopsies. I know some people want them, some people don't. I don't guess y'all perform any autopsies there, right?
Oh, yeah, hang on, I'm sorry, I didn't allude to that, because I wanted to get through it rather than take up your time and stuff. I've done 873 autopsies since 2008 at our facility, to the tune that the administration before me sent everything to Jefferson Parish. Now, the cost of an autopsy in Jefferson Parish is $1,400, and sometimes can be $2,000 depending on the case. Armed with that, if you're looking at we have done 873 autopsies. If all those were sent to Jefferson Parish, it would be to the tune of $1.5 million. Now, we've saved that money. I know that bankers and financial people understand that kind of number. Armed with that, we would have spent, as I said, $168,000. We're doing cases at Lafourche right now for anywhere from $500 to $700 as it's done through the years. So it's a savings of $700 to $800 every case just by what we're doing now. No, we do autopsies at Lafourche Parish Coroner's Office. We do probably 5 a week. To date, we have done 84 autopsies. When I took the office in May 31st on a Friday in 2008, they had already done 120 autopsies. Because I've hired people to investigate these individual cases and stuff, which is what we needed, we have decreased the load of autopsies by almost 40 a year. So there's another savings. We also, now because of donations from people in the parish, the sheriff's office, as well as Lafourche Ambulance, we have actually, we get and go to scenes ourselves. No longer does the funeral homes do this. Now, that cost was about $110,000 when I took office. So now we have our own ways of picking up our own bodies and even transporting those bodies to Lafourche, to Jefferson Parish if we have to. In the case that we have, and we can't do, in our office, we can't do a case that's involved and maybe a secondary murder case or something like that. I'm trying to think of the word. Armed with that, we only do autopsies where the pathology is known, number one. It probably is not going to be a court case, if you will.
Right.
And in the situation where we ship these bodies to Jefferson Parish, which were only, how many did we ship this year? It's in my notes, but I can't remember. 20 cases we shipped to Jefferson Parish. Those are generally deaths by murder, rape, or some of these other things that go on. Some kind of physical person has actually caused this manner of death, if you will. So armed with that, only 20 cases went, whereas 120 cases had gone to Jefferson Parish the year that I took office. And that's because, there again, because the personnel that we have now are investigating all the cases. They're screening these cases as to causality and manner of death, and if we don't think that there's any kind of foul play, we don't need to do an autopsy. We had entertained doing autopsies by cost. You know, if someone wanted an autopsy, we would do it. But there's been a lot of things around the state, especially in Lafayette Parish, where they had issues with families coming forward, and the autopsies weren't always done to people's desire. So in the event that we have a case that may be a foul play, then we send that to Jefferson Parish, and they have forensic pathologists. I could hire a forensic pathologist, but that would be anywhere from $250,000 to $350,000. And I've actually worked in a coroner's office, a regional coroner's office in Alabama, where I grew up basically. And armed with that, he makes the comment how regional pathology facilities are the way to go. And essentially, you can have these other smaller ones in the areas that can do all this offload stuff. So I don't really need a forensic pathologist. It would be a luxury and a desire that I would love, but I don't think that it's necessary. So we've stayed that cost, if you will.
No, that's good.
Councilman Font?
Yeah, I just want to thank y'all for what y'all do. And I've never visited a facility, and I can just imagine, but I can tell you one time, I went out to a scene at Miss Angie Mathern, who did a great job. I was working for a company, one of our employees, he hadn't showed up at work for 5 days. So we went check on him, and he was deceased, had been dead for 4 days, and the smell, I can smell him from 50 feet away from his house. That's how bad it was. I can't imagine doing an autopsy in y'all room with poor ventilation. Because listen, I was gagging from 50 feet away and the house was closed, and she handled it like a trooper. I'm like, oh my God, how do you do it?
Mentholatum jelly.
I tried. I put some Vicks salve on my nose. It didn't help out, all right? But, Sue, I just hope we can get this done for you. It's much needed. For the safety standpoint of your employees is a major concern also.
Well, we've worked and maintained this building, and I'm proud of what we did for the 9 years, but I think it's time. We're due.
Councilman Jones?
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Dr. King, for the presentation, but that's a job you and Mark can have. I'd like to ask the administration, where are we at in purchasing that building, that bank?
We don't have any numbers, and I need to meet with you too. We need a total project. How much this thing's gonna cost?
Because what I'm thinking is that the possibility that the building itself could cost $190,000 to $180,000. The maintenance or to improve the inside would be in the tune of about $70,000, maybe $100,000, but we can spread that cost out if we have to over a 5-year period in that. We just need our basic things provided so that we can do our job.
Now, does that bank building have 3 phases? Because I think y'all need 3 phases, right?
Not necessarily, no.
How will you run those big units, those refrigerators?
Well, the only thing that we have that's big, and there again was obtained through the parish council and stuff, is our x-ray machine. And really, that doesn't require 3-phase.
But don't y'all have 3 phases in the building you're in now?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
No, we don't, actually.
Okay.
I know we don't.
Well, I mean, just we need to have all the, I need to get with you.
I think things over there don't plug in too well.
I need
either,
to sit down with you and we need to get some type of cost factor and what it costs. And that bank building you're talking about is quite a bit old, so it might be just as old as the one you're leaving. I don't know how old it is.
Well, it's not the oldness of this building, and they have actually gone to extreme measures to make sure that roof didn't leak anymore. And if you looked at that when we were up there together, if you looked at that situation, essentially they've tarred the whole thing and put rock down, so the whole upstairs is the roof that's covered. And now that covering is actually what we're dealing with from the standpoint, so there's no leak there. That's really our issue now, or I wouldn't be asking you for a new building. And I take that back. It's because of the school thing as well, but I think those two things together.
I talk with maintenance and some of the, and they don't have any maintenance call doing any roofs for you or anything. Did you ever call it in?
We actually had the prisoners come and do the whole thing, with the prior administration and that, and they've come over and painted our building once or twice before. The barn is right next to us. They take care of us as well. So we're taken care of. That's not the issue. This building's done.
But we need to put a pencil to the whole project before, and maybe you and I should need to sit down.
Okay,
Okay?
let's do that.
All right.
Thanks,
Okay,
sir.
I don't know why I thought all of this was going on since last year. I thought Mr. Haas had met with the bank people. I thought all of this,
We actually
gone
looked
on.
at that building about a year and a half ago.
okay,
Year to
I
year
knew
and a half.
I wasn't
Sure did.
mistaken. And Mr. Himmel, is this one of the amendments? I know the council approved this through amendment. I know President Cantrell vetoed the amendment for funding of this building. Is this one of the amendments that was done incorrectly, so will require President Cantrell to do a supplemental if he decides to proceed?
That's what I
Yeah,
understand.
yes and no. Yes, it was one that was sent to the DA for question on the way it was written, but when entered as advised by the DA, it has all the correct
Because it turned to be a
verbiage.
clerical error, right?
Right, verbiage in it to get the money in there. So now it just follows the regular proceedings, the procedures. The difference between the Commission for Women and this one is the one for Dr. King is a project.
Right.
So it's in the project, so now it has to go through all the normal cycles, I guess, a cooperative agreement or,
So, Dr. King, what that means is, originally, the parish president didn't put it in his budget. The council amended the budget. We put it in. The parish president vetoed that amendment, along with others. We overrode his veto, and that means the council completely supports this. It's still in the parish president's hands. So,
Mr. Cantrell, you have to help me here. This has to be done.
We have to, first of all, see if we have enough funds, and we have to also make sure that we have.
The money's in
total-
there, it's allowed, we need to
Well,
have this done.
We have some money in there, but we have to make sure we have total amount.
I think that amendment, am I mistaken, was it 250,000 was put, Mr. Himmel, can you tell me?
250.
250,000, so, that was taken from building and maintenance, if I can remember
Yes,
correctly.
Building
ma'am.
maintenance it is.
Okay. So the money is there, nothing else, it can't be spent on anything else unless it comes before council.
For a one-year period?
And I'd imagine the council would do it again next year, but,
For the projects,
but hopefully parish president Cantrell
He will.
helps you before then. Mr. Himmel, you had
it's
something else?
3 years on a project.
3 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
With no activity.
Mr. LaFont?
No, I'm just gonna say, I hope we can get it done. And I was gonna say, it's also 3 years. When it's in capital projects, it's 3 years, and
Yeah, 2
when
years.
it comes up, you just put it back again for another 3 years. I learned that from Daniel. That's one thing I learned from Daniel.
Okay, anything else?
I
Councilman
was,
Grow?
I was just gonna say it's unfortunate that our screen's not here yet,
I know,
so people
I'm
could see
sorry.
this. I think, they'd be appalled.
I
I mean, it's,
apologize that you can't see what we're
yeah,
I
doing.
did,
it's,
I did ask Mr. Goldman to bring extra copies for the media. I don't know if you have those copies that they can have. I think that would be, yeah, I think there's someone here for the comment. Julia? Yeah, because we need that publicized. I'm sure a few of us have Facebook pages that'll try to push some of this through as well. If you have, Mark knows how to reach us. Maybe he can send us electronic versions so we don't have to go through scanning and stuff, so we can let the public know what's
And
going on
one
with
of
this
the things
building.
that I'm really concerned about is that it literally will take us 6 months to do this building, just for us to do bare necessity things. And
Okay.
then we can move along other things as we go along. But, this is gonna take a while, and I'm really very, very concerned that some children may witness some things that I don't want them to see. And these are not pleasant things, so. All right, y'all take care.
Hold on.
Yeah, Mr. Cantrell, Daniel made a point. At one point in our life, we're all gonna use that building. And so, please think about it. If you
Well,
gotta go visit somebody
Unless we're
there.
murdered, we'll ship to Jefferson.
Unless you're murdered, you're going to
That's
Jefferson.
only if you're murdered.
That's right.
Thank you, Dr. King.
Jerry, you'll never know. Jerry, you'll never know.
Okay, so,
Oh, I'm gonna outlive you, trust me.
now, Need a motion to,
You're
nope.
good. You've done.
Okay, Section G, executive session.
Ms. Chairwoman, I'd like to defer item 11 and 12 until February the 27th meeting,
To when?
27th.
February 27th? Okay, are y'all good to continue, or do we need a quick break? All right, 5-minute break. Okay, we're on I, public hearing and an ordinances for ratification. Can I get a motion to open public hearings? Moved by Councilman Otan, second by Councilman Jones.
Consider, I want you to take a vote.
All in favor? Any opposed? Passes 7-0-2.
And the two being Mr. Melvin and Mr. Bourgeois.
And the two being Councilman Melvin and Councilman Bourgeois. 13, ordinance that all parish vehicles, including the parish president's parish vehicle, be required to display the Lafourche Parish government logo on both driver and front passenger doors, be required to display a 2-inch vehicle number in front of both driver and front passenger doors and rear of vehicle, and be required to display the parish bumper sticker, which reads 1-800-834-8832, lafourchegov.org, on rear bumper, thereby amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 1-in general of the Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances to create Section 2-9, all parish vehicles required to display parish logo, parish vehicle number, and parish bumper sticker, 1-800-834-8832, lafourchegov.org, moved by Councilman Lafont, second by Councilman Jones. Any discussion from the audience? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Any discussion from the council?
Don't we have that already?
Councilman Lorraine, what?
Don't we have that already, or are you just adding some
think
things to it?
He's adding.
Huh?
Councilman Lafont, you want to explain what you're adding?
Okay.
Did you just?
It currently says just have to have the stickers and the number. It doesn't have the 1-800 that it has to have.
Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 7-0-2 with Councilman Bourgeois and Melvin being out. Number 14, ordinance requesting 2 no dumping signs be posted on Daisy Lane between St. Philip Street and Leonard Street, Raceland, Louisiana, Ward 4, District 6, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, providing for the placement of no dumping signs and providing penalties for the violations thereof. Moved by Councilman Paraloo. Second by Councilman Otan. Any discussion from the audience? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times from the council? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Passes 7-0-2 with Councilman Bourgeois and Melvin being out. Number 15, ordinance approving the holding of an election in Fire Protection District Number 3 of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, April 28, 2018, to authorize the levy of special tax therein. Moved by Councilman Lorraine, second by? Second by Councilman Otan. Any discussion from the audience? Any comments from the audience? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times? Any discussion from the council? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 7-0-2 with Councilman Bourgeois and Melvin being out. Number 16, ordinance providing for supplemental appropriation 17-040 within the 2017 operation and maintenance budget to adjust for the year-end projections and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transaction as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Moved by Councilman Lorraine, second by? Second by? Second by Councilman Grow. Any comments from the audience? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times? Any discussion from the council? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 7-0-2 with Councilman Bourgeois and Melvin being absent. Number 17, ordinance approving a non-warranty cash sale between Lafourche Parish Government and David Francis Trusclair Jr. and Melanie Lynn Hatch Trusclair for adjacent property located at 115 Linda Street, Houma, Louisiana, 70364, in a total amount of $3,423, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said cash sale and any and all relevant documents. Moved by, someone's moving for Councilman Bourgeois? Will someone move for Councilman? Okay, moved by Councilman Lorraine, second by Councilman Grow. Any comments from the public? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times? Any discussion from the council?
I'm going to be abstaining from this because I don't think it's legal. I'm not sure if it's legal. I don't know why we wouldn't have it. We have a company we hired to sell adjudicated property. I don't know why it didn't go through them, and if it did, why are we voting on this? Because we never had to vote on any other ones else. I think it ought to go to public sale if that's how we're gonna do it.
Okay, Councilman Otan?
I was just wondering if the administration can explain why we want to get rid of this particular piece of property. There's no longer any drainage requirements or anything. There's no use in the future for that particular property. Can anybody answer that?
Mr. Haas?
Not that I know of. That property was adjudicated by the sheriff's office, I want to say 2001, 2002. Civic Source was the company hired to try to get rid of all those properties. We're doing this because as far as I could do, finding my research, these adjudicated properties were never passed by ordinance to approve the sale. So in order to authorize parish president to sign on the cash sale, we're putting up for the ordinance now.
Councilman Grow?
I was just going to mention that the company, Civic Source, is on here in Exhibit A, doing all the title insurance on it. So it does seem like it did pass through them. I was just going to mention that.
Councilman LaFont?
Is this the first one? I don't think this is the first one we sell from that program.
The first one I'm
Mr.
aware
Haas?
of.
I don't think they had to come to us for that, did
That's
they?
the first one I'm aware of. Any other ordinances I could find for adjudicated property were done years prior. I'd say a good, 7, 8 years ago was when I could find them. But it wasn't through Civic Source, as best I could tell.
And so you're saying, who said it had to come through ordinance, be done through ordinance? Who made that decision?
The sale of surplus property or adjudicated properties, it would seem that it would have to go through ordinance, just like surplus, from my understanding.
Okay,
So before we had President Cantrell sign any papers, we wanted to pass it before council.
that's smart. Okay. any
It's just to put it back on the tax roll, right? I mean, is that? Or no, to get it out?
No, they're
To
selling
get it out? Right, okay.
Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor?
I
Oh,
got it,
Councilman
well.
Jones?
$3,423. Where that money going?
Should be going back into the nuisance abatement fund, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to double check on that.
Does Mr. Hemel know where that money goes?
I believe he is right.
Do you believe or do you know?
I'd have to look into it myself, since this isn't going through the normal, like you said, through the service company that we have. I would just like to look into it to make sure.
I just wish we had all the answers when we come to something like this so that, we would know for sure, not be presenting with items that we have to vote on where we can't get exact answers. Is someone else?
I got a question.
Councilman
If it's
LaFont?
adjudicated, y'all know what it was, you said sheriff's sale. If it was sheriff's sale, then it wasn't done through nuisance abatement.
No, it wasn't done through sheriff's sale. It was just the sheriff's office through tax, I believe. It was delinquency in tax. So they adjudicated the property back in 2002 is the paperwork that I saw. Civic Source came through when they got the resolution and the agreement with Lafourche Parish government. They did the research. This is one of the properties, I think one of maybe 10, that they found that had been adjudicated and nothing was being done with.
All right. I'm still going to abstain.
Okay, so at this point, we just don't know where the money's going, is that correct? We just don't know where the money's going to be placed. Okay. Any more, Councilman LaFont, you have your light on?
No, I'm sorry.
Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Nays, raise your hand. Oh, and one abstain. 2 nays. Councilman Jones, myself. Councilman LaFont abstained. And so that is,
4, 2, 1. 4 yeas, 2 nays, 2 absent, 1 abstention.
can you say it in your mind?
4 yeas, 2 nays, 2 absent, 1 abstention.
With the abstention being Councilman LaFont?
LaFont.
Okay,
It fails.
and it fails. I would have guessed that maybe if you come back before us with some answers or give us some answers, you're welcome to bring it back before council. Number 19, ordinance, 18? 18. Ordinance approving an intergovernmental cooperative endeavor agreement between the Greater Lafourche Port Commission for project number 08-01-05130, Airport Access Corridor, Louisiana Highway 308, turn lane, Airport Access Road, in the Lafourche Parish Council, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement. Moved by Councilman Lorraine, second by? Second by? Second by? Fails for lack of a second.
Can I say something?
Sure.
This is all grant money. I mean, if y'all just gonna shoot down whatever I want or whatever James wants, it's terrible. This is negotiating with the port for grant money, and y'all gonna shoot it down? Come on, gentlemen and miss.
I can't second it as chair, but Councilman LaFont?
Yeah, it's the way it's written, Daniel. I think if you would, I spoke to the port today about it, Chet, and he's in agreement. Never has this council ever did a cooperative endeavor agreement by an ordinance, which is law. It's always been done a resolution. So if you take these same two next items, bring them from the floor as a resolution. Okay.
You tell the people you're against it.
I am. I'm against it as an ordinance. It needs to be a resolution.
Okay.
Since when you became.
We're going to move on. Number 20, ordinance approving an oil, gas, and mineral lease between... 19? Okay. 19, ordinance approving an intergovernmental cooperative endeavor agreement between Lafourche Parish Water District for project number 08-01-05130, Airport Access Corridor, Louisiana Highway 308, turn lane, Airport Access Road, and Lafourche Parish Council, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement. Moved by Councilman Lorraine, second by? Second by? Second by? Fails for lack of a second. Number 20, ordinance approving an oil and gas and mineral lease between Lafourche Parish Government and LLOLA LLC, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Lorraine, second by? Second by Councilman Otan. Any comments from the public? One time, two times, three times. Any discussion from the council? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 7-0-2, with Councilman Bourgeois and Melvin being out. Councilman LaFont moves close, second by Councilman Jones. All in favor? Any opposed? J, proposed ordinance. Councilman Otan?
Sure. Number 21, proposed ordinance by Councilman Parallel requesting no dumping, $500 fine sign be posted on Buford Street, Raceland, Louisiana, Ward 3, District 6. Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, providing for the placement of no dumping, $500 fine signs, and providing for penalties for the violations thereof. Number 22, proposed ordinance by Councilman Bourgeois to officially name the Butch Hill Boat Launch the Lusco Boat Launch at Butch Hill. Want to propose? Councilman Grow will sponsor that since Mr. Bourgeois is in absence. Number 3, proposed ordinance by Councilwoman Sposito to accept the subdivision known as Sugar Ridge West Addendum Number 11 into the parish system. Proposed ordinance number 24, sponsored, somebody want to pick this one up too for the absentee? Councilman Grow will pick up for Councilman James Bourgeois, who is in absentee. So that's number 4, proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 5312 and amending and reenacting Chapter 2, Article 4, organizational structure of local agencies and certain special districts, sections 2-66 and 2-129 of the Lafourche Parish Code ordinances as it pertains to parish executive departments and contractor minimum insurance requirements, and adding an exemption for the AM best rating for government entities and their self-insurance funds, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Number 25, proposed ordinance by Councilman Lorraine providing for a 2018 supplemental appropriation 18-001 within the 2018 operations and maintenance budget to increase the budget for the elevation of 11 properties that are funded from flood mitigation assistance, FMA 2017, Gustav, Isaac, and homeowner cost share of up to 25% on contributions to qualified properties, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Ms. Sposito?
That 25 was moved by Councilman Lorraine. Okay, resolutions, 26, resolution approving the recommendation of the Office of Coastal Zone Management, which
Madam
denies...
Chair?
Oh, that one's deferred?
Councilman Melvin asked me to defer that to the 27th of February.
Number 26, deferred to February 27th. Number 27, resolution to officially name the Butch Hill Boat Launch, the Lusco Boat Launch at Butch Hill. Didn't we just, wasn't this just a proposed ordinance? I saw this.
It was, so this should be full.
Okay, but if he's absent, what happens? Does someone want to move on this one
Did he
for
not talk to anybody?
Bourgeois? Did he talk to anyone about moving? Okay, so does anyone
Just leave it on?
want to move for Bourgeois? So then we won't
Vote
vote
it
on it.
down. Well, if nobody wants to move.
If it's not moved, then it just,
Dies. Right,
no, this is a resolution.
but if
This
we
is
have it
just-
as an ordinance,
Oh. Okay, so this
So
one,
what happens? Dies.
right,
Dies.
this one just dies for lack of a sponsor. Well, no one moved for him. No one moved for him, so if no one moves for him, they can't defer.
He said he was gonna put the ordinance on.
He did both.
we did.
We got both.
I'll tell you what, I'll move for it, just so we move on. I'll move the resolution forward.
Moved by Councilman Otan, second by Councilman Grow. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
I have a question. I mean, a proposed ordinance was just read for this very same
Right.
purpose. So why in the world will we be approaching it as an ordinance and a resolution
Ms.
on the
Carlene
same
has
agenda?
put-
At the last meeting, Councilman Perilou, this was deferred to this meeting. Because it was deferred, it had to be brought back. Y'all need to kill it, or he would have pulled it tonight. He's not here, so let's
So the
let it die.
intent was to pull it?
Correct,
Okay.
exactly.
But he asked none of us to pull it, though,
He
didn't
didn't ask any
Okay.
of y'all. So bring it to vote and kill it.
Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Nay.
Dies.
And it dies
072.
072.
Fails.
Fails. Number 28, resolution supporting the proposed project by the Barataria Terrebonne National Estuary Program, BITNEP, entitled Improving Water for Lafourche Parish Residents, a partnership project of the Barataria Terrebonne National Estuary Program, BITNEP, Home Sewage Assistance Program, and the Bayou Falls Watershed. Moved by Councilman Otan. Second by Councilman Lafont. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Passes 072. 702. Number 29, resolution appointed one member of the Fire District Number 2 Board. Mr. Perilou? Oh, got to vote, right? Moved by Councilman Perilou, second by? Second by Councilman Otan.
I nominate Eric Benoit.
Second by Councilman Lafont. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 702. Number 30, resolution appointed one member of the Fire Protection District Number 1 Board. Someone moving for me?
Yeah, I was at the request of Mr. Melvin. I will,
Okay,
Move
moved by
for it.
Councilman Otan, second by? Second by Councilman Perilou.
yes, so the request is to reappoint Mr. Randall Robichaud.
Second by Councilman Perilou. You got a second?
You have a second already.
I have a second already. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 702. 31, resolution amending Resolution Number 17-191 that authorized the hiring of Leonard Chauvin, P.E., P.L.S., Inc., as the engineer for services needed in the completion of an application under the fiscal year 2018-2019 Louisiana Community Development Block Grant, LCDBG, program, and for the design and construction inspection services pending grant award, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Jones, second by? Second by Councilman Lafont. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 702. 32, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and the LSU Shelter Medicine Program to provide services to Lafourche Parish Animal Shelter and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Perilou, second by Councilman Otan. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 702. Number 33, resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between, number 33.
I mean, he needs to defer that one till the 27th as well.
Okay. Number 33 is deferred to February 27th. 34, resolution accepting the low bid of All Star Electric, Inc. in the amount of $272,550 for contractor services related to streetlight maintenance and repair, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer a contract and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Lorraine. Second by? Second by Councilman LaFont. Any
Ms.
discussion?
Chairman,
Mr.
I got a
Jones.
question. Is Jerome here? Dan Off. Or maybe someone from the administration can ask me. Jerome called me, sent me an email on this resolution to sponsor it. I said yes, and I was just wondering how Daniel's name got on it.
I could tell you how my name got on it. They sent me an email asking me to sponsor it, and that's what I did.
So y'all
I
didn't end up co-sponsoring it, it's just his name got on it.
I didn't see Daniel's name on that email Jerome sent to me.
I'm telling you, I got an email from the administration asking me to sponsor, and what this is, I'll explain it.
Okay.
This is the lights for everybody's areas.
Parish-wide.
That if they go out, in other words, the bid was, the cheapest bid was Star Electric, All Star Electric. It seems like they're a lot more than the previous, the one that was doing it, but this was for 2 years. The other one was for a year, so it's a lot cheaper. And that's for all y'all fancy subdivisions with all these lights. If they go out, that's who comes fix them. And if the lights go out on the Leeville Bridge, that's who fixes them. So do what y'all want to do.
Yes, Daniel, I know what it's for, but I'm asking, what he emailed me, Jerome emailed me, your name wasn't on it. I'm asking the administration, who took my name off it?
I can't answer your question. I can just tell you that I was emailed from
Councilman
the
Lorraine,
administration.
he asked the administration, Mr.
administration.
Jimmy
Well-
or Mr. Haas, do either of you know why the sponsorship was changed from Councilman Jones to Councilman Lorraine?
I put whoever I want on it. So I put Mr. Lorraine, I asked him to sponsor it.
Okay,
Then why did Jerome call me to ask me to sponsor?
I have no clue.
okay.
You never have a clue.
So I do.
Okay,
Dummy.
any further discussion?
What?
Councilman Lorraine?
What you said?
No,
All right. We're moving on. Any further discussion? All in favor? All in favor? Any opposed? Passes 702. Can we dispense with the side talking? L. Number 35, motion to dispense with the February 13, 2018 Lafourche Parish Council meeting, moved by Councilman Jones, second by Councilman Otan. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? All in favor? Any opposed? Passes 702. Okay. M, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, or Managers' reports, presentations, and/or updates. Do we have any? Mr. Haas?
Yes, I know Mr. Abadi, the Director of Homeland Security, couldn't be here due to having the flu. He did send an email, which I've been asked to read. I'm not going to touch on everything because some of it touches on what was already addressed by Entergy and the Water District earlier today. For our part on EOC, what did happen, though, when the water pressure didn't resume as expected, we began supplementing with some of the DPW workers as well to help try to find leaks, and began coordinating with the state to try to find alternate water sources if needed, which actually were needed on Friday. We did send trucks to Slidell to pick up bottled water. The water district was also able to fill up a tank with potable water from the south plant for delivery to Bayou Blue and Raceland, which were being the hardest hit at that time. Those disbursements of potable water were done Friday and through Saturday. Thankfully, on Saturday, we started seeing an increase in pressure, and by Sunday, we had to clear to, the water district had to clear to lift the boil advisory that they had put out. Mr. Abbott hopes to present a more complete report at the next council meeting, considering the circumstances and based on the preliminary assessment. His belief is that the coordinated efforts by all the agencies involved performed well. We're still going to do a more extensive post-incident analysis, identify maybe where we could work better, maybe more efficiently. I do know that there were reports of the answering service not picking up, and I think that was coming out of the Thibodeau area, and in talking with our EOC manager, Mr. Boudreau, we think maybe what happened was that Vision Communications might have actually went down. So if you were calling that Thibodeau number, then it would have never forwarded over to the answering service when the power was out. We can't say that for certain, but that's what we're thinking happened. We're still looking into it. Mr. Boudreau did advise he tried calling the central number that we always put out, and it did go to the answering service. So we're kind of looking into where that, that failure in communication, if people weren't able to get to EOC or through the answering service, where that occurred, and try to address that for the future.
Any questions for Mr. Haas's reading of the report? Mr. Groh?
I noticed, last meeting I asked, I noticed in the budget that the organizational chart, hierarchy chart, however you want to call it, has changed significantly. A lot of people were bumped up, and I wasn't aware during this event that we have a new Homeland Security Director. Just if y'all can maybe update that chart. I still haven't seen an email. I just asked for an email about it, and let us know who's in charge of what. Like I said, I did have some concerns about civil service employees kind of in management roles that we can't talk to. So if y'all can just explain that, I appreciate it.
The Director of Homeland Security title is mandated by the state statute that creates Homeland Security Department for the state and for the parishes. Now, it doesn't actually have to be a director's position in the sense of Director of Public Works or Director of HR. It's simply someone, much like Captain DeGrava with the Sheriff's Office, who is, over judiciary, security and things like that. He is also titled as Director of Homeland Security for the Sheriff's Office. So in the event of an emergency where EOC is activated, that person now becomes the de facto incident commander. But it's not a director
I have a question.
position.
I didn't know he was that. He was promoted to that. And the next question is, when you move from risk manager, or you hold the title of risk manager and director of Homeland Security, does it come with the same pay? Or do you get a bump in pay when you get that Homeland Security title?
Now, as of right now, I believe he's still at the same pay.
Do you believe or do you know?
As far as I know, his pay hasn't been changed.
So his pay is, can you check on that and get us the
Yes,
the
I can.
amount? Mr. Otan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with the mandate too, and that could even be a volunteer. Parish just has to have a representative as the director. It doesn't have to even be a compensated person. So I'm glad to know that he's not compensated for that, because certainly all the discussions tonight of funding, I mean, it certainly shouldn't be a funded person. I mean, especially not if he's risk manager. So I'm glad to understand that he's not compensated. But certainly that mandate, if any of you read it, that can be a volunteer, that can be anyone, it could be the parish president. You just have to identify to the state that you have a director, that's all.
Councilman Paralew?
Yeah, I think you touched on water distribution over the weekend. I was riding my district on Saturday, and I ran by on Texas Street at the barn, the Raceland barn. They had a dump truck full of bottled water sitting there for people to come pick up water if they need it. Why was I not aware of that?
As far as for that, Mr. Paralew, I couldn't respond to that. I do know that it was
Mr.
put
Jimmy,
out
can you respond then?
through our normal channels.
Homeland Security took care of it, and I don't know why he wasn't notified, but we was acting in a very fast manner to get the water out to the people as quick as we could. So.
But if they don't know it's there, how is it benefiting people?
It was put in the website, and we had free distribution of water. It was put on the government website. And it was on TV too.
Well, I think distribution of information in councilmatic districts via council members makes a lot of sense. I mean, you would cover a lot more people that way that might not watch Channel 4 or go to your website. So I'm just hoping in the future, especially in dire situations like that, because Raceland was hit hard, as was Bayou Blue, with the lack of water pressure. And a lot of people didn't know. When I got home, I went like to social media and started posting, and people were like, "What? When did this happen? Where else can we go in the parish to get it?" They didn't know. So I think communication is key, and especially in emergency situations. I'm just asking for better communication to help people in need.
Councilman Jones?
Yes, Mr. Perry, thank you for bringing that up. Remind me, a lady called me and wanted to thank Mr. Haas for lining up all that water drive. She said you planned it and she was very pleased with it, so just let you know.
Thank you. I was told that there was a $20,000 pay hike for this title, this Director of Lafourche Office of Homeland Security. I was told that there was a $20,000 pay hike, and I guess I'm wondering why someone with zero Homeland Security experience would be put over two seasoned veterans, especially if it could have been done by anyone, and if in fact it is a pay hike. So I just want to, can you get me that by close of business tomorrow, whether or not that pay hike did actually take place?
I will check into it.
Mr. Jimmy, do you just know right offhand?
We're gonna check into it. I think that it's entitled to a pay hike because he does have Homeland Security experience, much of it.
So you think he got a pay hike? You think he received one?
I don't know if he received one, but he's entitled to one.
Who was doing this position before? Who had this title previously?
Sharpine.
And
Josh.
so there was somebody after Josh?
Yeah, we had, let's see, who was it?
Yeah, Mr. Lagarde as an interim.
Mr. Lagarde.
Did he have an additional 20K because of that position? Did he have an
He was
additional?
paid.
He was put into the actual director position when it was still a
Okay.
department of its own, before
Okay.
it was absolved.
Was a lot
Councilman Otan?
Yeah, I just want to point out, in all this talk about money tonight, that the previous administrations didn't even have this position. This was a position that was created. I mean, we have a lot of efficient people in this parish, from, fire chiefs, et cetera, that can help out. I would be really upsetting if we spending, a lot of money on a director. I just totally uncalled for and unneeded, in my opinion. I just want to state that.
Well, Mr. Otan, we spent, I think, $72,000 for a director in Homeland Security, or $75,000.
You're absolutely correct, Mr. Jimmy, and as you may recall, I'm good friends with Josh, and I voted against that position
Well,
because of funding.
Well-
I know we have a funding issue, so I just wanted to point that back out.
Evidently, we don't look like we have a funding issue.
Okay. Councilman LaFont?
Yeah, so we said we funded that, but I still never voted on funding that. We voted for 1 year, and the guy kept the position for a lot long after. I don't know if anybody ever paid the sheriff on that money or not. This never came from this council.
Mr. Himmel, do you know if the sheriff was paid for that position?
We have outstanding invoices due to the sheriff
Okay.
for that.
Any further reports from parish president, department heads, directors, managers? Presentation and updates? Okay. Questions for the administration? I'm sorry, Corey, did you have something on the last thing?
On the next one.
Okay, go ahead. Councilman
Okay,
Carroll.
I just have a couple of questions. Well, actually one, I already asked one. Last fiscal year, we voted up $50,000 for improvements to the rodeo arena in Raceland. Can I get an update on the work that's been done with that $50,000 from the administration?
The arena, the lights there, we haven't fixed, they're working, but we're in the process of changing all the lighting. We have some aluminum poles that's been donated, or we didn't get them all yet, and all that is in the process right now. But the arena can be functioned as it is now, except the poles are old and the lighting is not the greatest in the world. But we will have new lightings and LED lighting, and we'll have aluminum poles put in as soon as we get the poles, which would be about 3 to 4 to 5 months.
Is that in-house work?
That's gonna be in-house work.
Okay, so we can get like, updates from DPW as
When
far
we
as progress?
When we start, we will give updates.
So none's been done yet?
No, we haven't had the polls, and we need to have somebody draw up the plans and how we're gonna do the electrical,
Okay,
and so.
I appreciate it.
Councilman Jones?
I'd like to get an update on the Abbey ditch project.
Abigail? Anyone has that, Mr. Cantrell?
I have no updates right now, Frank.
You got what? You got what?
Okay, so no updates. Is there any way we can get that by close of business tomorrow? Is Mr. Barnes going to be back? Is someone else can get that for him?
Mr. Barnes should be back tomorrow.
I know a little bit. It
Mr.
showed up,
Crowe.
that they needed some riprap to finish that project. This is the project that I commented at a meeting how thrilled the guy was that lived behind the beginning of this area and how hardworking our guys were, and he fed them and things like that. This is just a job that just shouldn't have been closed out of work order because it just needs some riprap moved. And I saw in a report that they moved some stuff. I got some riprap for it. I'm just wondering when it'll go down. I'm glad you reminded me of that. Can I ask my other question?
Sure.
Also, I'd like to have a update on a cooperative endeavor with Rec District 7 that we voted on at the end of the year in the budget. I need to get that working because the city of Thibodaux is getting ready to have a lot of athletic enrollments, and they have it in their budget, and I'm counting on that CEA. I want to thank you in advance for that.
I just want to
Councilman
clarify.
Jones?
Abbey, you talking about the Abigail ditch, Mike? I'm talking about the ditch on Abbey Road on the side of the Lafont House. We got $200,000 that's in the budget that was supposed to be did last year. So that's the project.
Mr. Cantrell, are you going to be able to give Councilman Grow an update on that recreation money for the city of Thibodaux?
I'm gonna talk to him about it.
So you can't do that in the open meeting?
Oh, I'm gonna talk to Mr. Grohl about it.
Any other questions? Councilman Lorraine?
Yeah, I had 3 projects that was in the budget, 218. I didn't bring the paperwork tonight. And this council chose not to let us hire an engineer for the project. So, you know, I know how y'all feel because I feel. And I don't think it's right. It seems like some of you people want what you want and don't plan to give anything to anybody else. Oh, by the way, those posters you're talking about, where would that be coming from? I want the people to know.
The what?
It's coming from the high rise in,
And where is that located?
happens to be in Leeville.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Councilman Parallel?
So Daniel, you donating posts to the rodeo arena?
I can't stop.
You can't stop it, you taking credit for it? That's your post?
That's what you ordered against
Okay.
putting the lights up on the...
Councilman, let's move on.
Ridiculous.
All right, any further questions? I
Yes,
have
Leeville in
Councilman-
Lafourche Parish.
Where the money comes from, brother.
Okay, you don't have the floor. All right, anyone else have any additional questions? I have a few, if not. Okay, update Ontario boat launch. Anything, Mr. Cantrell?
Nope. No update. Mr. Haas, you have
No
anything?
update on this project again.
I talked with Jennifer yesterday, and Ontario boat launch came up, and the contractor, in light of what happened with Bayou Blue, she's being extra vigilant and making sure that they go through the proper permitting process before anybody proceeds. So they're waiting on permits, I believe, from either CZM or DEQ, Army Corps of Engineers.
So just in light of the Bayou Blue project, she's being extra vigilant? I mean, I thought that was just commonplace, but common practice, but anyway. So again, I guess I would like to have the engineer here next meeting, if at all possible. Councilman Parallel.
Actually, Vice Chairman Otam, do you have any updates or any information on this, this waterfront area under the bridge that we're supposed to be getting?
No, I haven't gotten any updates on anything, so I don't know anything.
Because the last time, you were the
State-
one that were
yeah.
answering those questions before. I mean, do you know where we stand on
I
that?
haven't gotten an update in a long time on anything.
Who do we go to?
State, I guess the state or our grant writer, or maybe Adam, we can touch base maybe
Adam
with
might
Adam, or,
have some info.
who's the other guy, had the funny last name? Jeffrey? I think Jeffrey had met with the state, but man, we hadn't gotten anything in a long time. I mean, Leaf, do you have any updates on any of all these projects that's been around for a couple of years?
If we're talking about the one that I think you guys are talking about, like an overlook or something like that, in talking with Jeffrey, I know there was an issue with the engineering, CB&I is pushing to get rid of whatever section of their company that actually received that bid, so we're having to go through the state process and find out how we have to go by to transfer. Basically, there's a certain aspect of their contract that CB&I is saying, hey, we don't do that anymore. Or saying that you would be better served by getting someone else. So we're trying to see how we got to go through, given the state's funds or whatever, to transfer that to another company to handle for us, the actual overseeing of the project, the construction.
Yeah,
Councilman Otam?
Sorry. So yeah, last I recall, DOTD had some issues, and so they were requiring a few different things, but I think the engineer's issue was payment. It's been a project that's been going on for so long, so they had issues with payment. I would respectfully request maybe that the tourism group kind of get involved, and maybe they can push this along a little better than we can, and, maybe they can make it happen. It would be right across the street from where they're at, and I think it would be a great addition as far as tourism goes. I don't know if that's a possibility, Leaf, or not, but I don't even know if they're aware of the project. No, I don't think Corey was aware of the project for the first year.
I'm gonna get with Jeffrey tomorrow and see where he's at on that and what the state's telling us, and I'll have an update for you. I'll get it out to you in email.
Okay, as per, I have a couple of questions. As per, Mr. Parlow, do you have anything to add? As per the charter, Parish President Cantrell, Section 3, Number 4, it says, submit to the council and make available to the public a complete report on the finances and activities of the parish at the end of each fiscal year. That I know did not happen in 17, and to my knowledge, didn't happen, to my memory, if that serves correctly, didn't happen in 2016. Is there any way we can resolve this issue so that the continual violation of the charter doesn't go on? And could that happen at next meeting possibly? Because we're already 2 years behind on this. And in the same section, go ahead and if you could respond to that.
Just have to get finance involved and get the thing
Okay,
done.
you do realize as per charter, it is charter mandated. Okay, the next thing on again, Section 3, Section 3B6, keep the council fully advised about the financial condition of the parish. That also, I'm assuming, falls under finance, and we haven't, aside from getting an occasional royalty after Councilman Grohl requested it, we get nothing on it. So these charters are set up this way so that we can actually get information, so that we can govern properly. Can your office make sure we get
We'll
that
make sure you
information?
get it.
Okay. The next thing is, as per the charter, Section 3D, 1, 2, and 3, there are only 3 required branches in this organizational structure, which is the finance director, public works director, and civil service director. And all of those directors have specific functions and responsibilities. For example, the finance director, Ms. Carlene, could you read the responsibilities of the finance director? Again, this is from 3D2.
Department of Finance. The head of the Department of Finance shall be the Director of Finance. The Director of Finance shall direct and be responsible for maintaining the fiscal records and systems of the parish, preparation and monitoring of the parish budgets, coordinating and reviewing the annual audit, and supervising the daily administrative functions of the Department of Finance.
So my question is, as per the charter, is this current finance director completing the aforementioned responsibilities as per the charter? Or has a civil servant, specifically a project manager, assumed the stated responsibilities of a finance director?
We guess we have to look into all this and make sure we comply with the charter, and I'll address this week.
Okay, so this is going to be a repeat as per the Public Works Director. Ms. Carleen, could you please read the responsibility of Public Works Director?
Department of Public Works. The head of the Department of Public Works shall be the Director of Public Works. The Director of Public Works shall direct and be responsible for the field operations of all employees in the department and the maintenance and operation of all road and drainage infrastructure and equipment.
So my question is the current DPW director completing the aforementioned responsibilities as per the charter, or has a civil servant, specifically a project manager, assumed the stated responsibilities for a public works director? And that includes deciding which work orders to be done, et cetera.
Mr. Barnes is doing,
He's
as far as
doing
I
all
know,
it.
all his work.
And he's choosing which work orders to do and prioritizing, no one else?
Well, I'm helping on some of
You
it.
specifically, no project manager?
No.
And no risk manager?
No.
And
No.
if there was any evidence otherwise, you would think that was just
Well, I don't know,
incorrect?
but I mean,
Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention, and this has been sitting with the council a while, in the past, the administration has submitted a list of individuals who the council may contact for, with questions. And in the past, it's not been a problem because it's been appointed members of your administration. So the list was really a formality. We knew who to speak to. So currently, you have civil servants that are acting as pseudo department heads and in department head roles. And I know many councilmen, as well as myself, are reluctant to ask them questions. And so we're left without a lot of answers. So I'm going to ask you to do the following. First, can you get us a list of who we can speak to?
definitely can.
And the second part of it, and now your jury box, that we call the jury box, I don't know the technical name for it, but it's pretty empty right now. But just to maintain the formality and efficiency of these proceedings, if someone's in that jury box, I'm going to assume that you want them as part of these proceedings so we can question them whether they're civil servants or not. If you don't want them questioned and you don't want them part of these proceedings, will you please make sure they're not in that jury box and part of the proceedings? So that would help us, especially during a meeting, know who we can speak to. Does that seem fair, or?
Well, I'm gonna look into it.
Okay. The only last thing I want to do is, sorry, I had questions, I had issues. The committee I want to put together a committee to amend this charter that has some gaping holes that have come into play the last couple of years. So I'm going to ask every council member by the March 13th meeting if you could come up with someone from your district to serve on this charter committee, and we can get them to work alongside with the DA to try to get some amendments to this charter. Maybe if we get something done by June, it could be on the November ballot. And if you can't find anyone from your district, I'll help you find someone. But we'd like one from every district. And that's it for me. Anyone else? Mr. Himmel?
Just to go when you were questioning the finance director's duties, and if there's a project manager that does my job, no, there's not.
I got a question on that.
I'm helped by people in my department.
And,
But-
well, and I asked because there were project managers' names all over the budget that you
Yeah,
were
but that was
responsible
that was put on from administration, not from finance.
Okay, but a name was-
I submit the budget that is submitted by our department heads, submit it to finance, we review, we make sure it's balanced, we submit to administration. Administration comes up with projects or moves money or makes cuts and makes changes, and that's who sends to us, me and Renita, or my department, saying administration wants this done. Tommy happened to be on some of those emails, but that was coming from administration. So that's not a finance function, is to make those changes. That's administration to make those changes where Tommy's name shows up.
Okay. Councilman Jones?
I just saw Tommy name throughout the budget book. I didn't see the
Correct.
finance director.
Okay.
Because I don't make those changes, that's why.
Okay.
I don't make those changes.
Any other questions for the administration? Anything else? All right. Oh, council reports, presentations, updates, and/or questions. We have number 36, Mr. Reggie Bagala, Legislative Internal Auditor, to present a report. Mr. Bagala?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Tonight I'd like to address a few areas. The budget, solid waste, the BP fund. I'm sorry.
Can you state your name and address?
Reggie
for the record?
Bagala, 404 Barry Street, Lockport. I'd like to address a few areas. The budget, solid waste, BP fund, Bayou Blue Splash Park, and Drainage District Number 1. With expected revenues down an estimated $2.5 million and the administration's decision to use the BP fund to close the current budget shortfall gap and the solid waste revenue collection shortfall, this is troublesome at best. This council put approximately $300,000 into the solid waste fund via budget amendments. Additionally, there is money over $1 million in dormant capital outlay project money that I believe will be sorely needed at the end of this fiscal year. When this administration took office in January 2016, the BP fund balance was over $6.1 million. Just 2 years later, the 2018 enacted BP fund balance is $70,119. $6.1 million down to $70,000. Where did the bulk of the fund go? $1 million went towards an unattended solid waste shortfall in 2017. $2.4 million transferred into the solid waste fund for 2018. $2 million transferred to Fund 001 funded departments for 2018. At the end of this year, there will be no BP fund to use to bridge this fiscal cliff that's coming, which brings us to solid waste. In regards to some of the questions brought up regarding the accounting of how the parish is billed for the number of pickups as per the solid waste contract, the contractor BFI receives quarterly reports of the certificate of occupancies granted permits from Lafourche Parish government and add that number to the total of billed pickups. That's each quarter. These numbers are added. Lafourche Parish government can audit BFI's pickup numbers once annually, notifying the contractor 30 days prior. I'm making a public request to get a copy of the past 2 years' audits of the solid waste contractor billing or pickup numbers as allowed in the solid waste contract. I'd like to bring to light that there was one budget meeting that I was involved with, along with council members Parish and Esposito, and in this meeting this was said. Mr. Cantrell stated, quote, "If y'all don't address this garbage collection, y'all are wasting y'all time," unquote. I'm assuming the parish president was speaking directly to the council members, Parish and Esposito. That being said, the Home Rule Charter does not give the council authority to directly address professional service contracts. When the parish president took office, he was aware of this fiscal problem that was looming and chose to use one-time funds to fill the gap. It is not the responsibility of the council to take the lead in remedying this problem. It lies with the administration. The BP Splash Park, Bayou Blue Splash Park. Back on November 8th of 17, I requested documentation regarding the Bayou Blue Splash Park. Here's a synopsis of events that I've put together. Number one, May 9th, 2017, a resolution 17-173 passes council approving Leonard Chauvin as a project engineer. 2, an undated, non-time-stamped notice to proceed letter to Leonard Chauvin for May 18th, 2017 from the parish president was issued, I'm assuming since I was given a copy of this document. On May 23rd, resolution 17-186 passes council awarding Byron Talbot as a low bid contractor. On June 26th, a press release was sent out regarding that the project construction had begun. On July 12th, an email was sent to the parish president from a staff project manager with talking points which stated that Bayou Blue Splash Park, $400,000 splash park, first in the parish and one of the few in South Louisiana, may open in late August, probably September of this year. On July 31st, an email from CZM to Nick, which was the Byron Talbot contractor project manager, had instructions on how to apply for a coastal use permit. August the 2nd, a pre-planning review meeting was held in the DPW conference room in Matthews. Mind you, on June 26th, a press release was sent out announcing that construction had begun. On November 1st, a ribbon cutting ceremony took place at the splash park. And on November 6th, CZM forwarded an email sent to Byron Talbot to the administrator regarding on the instructions on how to obtain a permit from DNR. I could find no documentation of any parish project manager assigned to this parish-owned project. Last item, the Lafourche Parish Drainage District number 1. One other note before closing, on December 14th, 2017, I attended the monthly meeting of the Lafourche Parish Drainage District number 1 meeting and personally delivered a public records request to the chairman. Section 4432 of the Louisiana Public Records Act requires a response within 3 business days. I did not receive a response. On January 4th of 2018, I sent a follow-up letter to the chairman, reminding him of the request that 3 weeks had gone by with no response, that the board was now in violation of the Louisiana Public Records Act and in non-compliance. As of today, I have received no response. And that's it.
Any questions for Mr. Bagala?
Yes.
Mr. Cantrell?
Yes, I've been saying you're having a garbage problem for 2 years now. And I can't put it on the agenda, I can't put it for the council. They have to come up with it, and it's a part of the council to come to me. And I've been telling them this problem for a long time. And I don't know what meeting you went to, but I've been expressing a big concern about the garbage. And it's been a big concern. And the last thing I heard was, I'm not voting for any new taxes. This is what was said by this council over here, a couple of members on this council. And when it was trying to be brought up, it was shot down.
You don't know what meeting I went to?
I don't know what I didn't know what meeting you went to. I said, I don't know why you got that information, that I was not concerned about the garbage.
I didn't say that. I have a quote from you.
Okay, what is the quote?
The quote, I'm gonna read it again. If y'all don't address the garbage collection, y'all are wasting y'all time.
Well, exactly. You have to address the garbage collection.
But okay, I'm not gonna get into a conflict over who handles professional service contracts. That's a charter issue.
They have another year on the same contract. I didn't write this contract up. It was then 5 years ago, 7 years ago.
Right. The water district, the drainage district, who appoints those board members? I'm thinking they're appointed by us, right?
The local council within the jurisdiction.
If they're not, if they open the parish up to litigation if they don't respond to public records requests, do we move forward in trying to remove these people that are doing
They are in
that?
non-compliance. They are officially in non-compliance with the Louisiana Public Records Act.
Well, I think,
And I hand-delivered the letter to the chairman.
Yeah, I think
Councilman?
that's totally unacceptable, and I will have on the next agenda to remove that individual from the board.
They're saying they're going to remove the members from the board but who is ultimately
I think you
responsible?
got to get a unanimous vote on the council to do that.
To remove a board member, you're saying they have to be? Put your mic on, please, Mr. Lorraine.
No, he said on next meeting.
Put your mic on. We can't.
Next meeting.
I said it's not on the agenda. You can't just pop up.
No, we're talking about, he's saying next agenda, he's going to put it
Oh,
up.
next, that's fine.
Okay.
Does what he wants, I don't care.
Okay, well, I thought you were saying that to remove a board member, you needed a unanimous. No, I thought you were just saying in general to remove a board member. Had you forwarded that email of your information to the other council members? I know I had received it, but it's just a little hard to follow along. Did you forward that to the other council members?
This?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, can you?
I'm having problems with, what the special meeting was about. I'm not using email right now. Not that I have to, and I have a computer that I use offline.
Okay, do you have copies made?
I can make them,
Okay, because, and also, yeah, or
And
send
I
it to
have
Ms.
I
Carlin.
have all the supporting,
Can y'all hold on until the meeting's over?
I have everything supporting right here that I told Ms. Carlin I was gonna get to her.
Okay, because it just was a lot to follow along with. Councilman Grow?
Yeah, my question's about the garbage deal. So you want us to address it? You want us to come up with something? We need to go to the voters.
No. What we want to do is bring it up to this council over here, so that we can put in that 0.3 cent sales tax. It was shot down. we have to go to the legislature. I'm working on the papers now. I should have those papers about tomorrow. So I'm working on papers that we can go to the legislature because we have two municipalities that would be over the limit, the state limit. So we have to get through legislative saying it's okay to do it parish-wide.
Right.
All right, then we have to try to get it on the ballot, either as a.
So we gotta hurry.
Well, yeah, we are hurrying, but this was supposed to be done. I think Mr. Lorraine tried to bring it up, and he was shot down, because we need y'all to vote from this council.
I made it known when I felt like the BP funds were rated for it, and I think the council made it known by all the amendments that were directly addressing that. And in some of the meetings that I was involved in, or discussions about different documents or while we were doing that, I made it clear that I'd be happy to sponsor something. Majority of my district doesn't use the garbage. The city of Thibodeau has their own garbage thing. So
That is
I got
correct.
numerous calls about people saying, what are they doing with this BP stuff? That should be safeguarded or used throughout the whole parish. And I'm willing to entertain sponsoring a user fee or something to bring to the voters, but
Well,
I
first of
feel like
all,
nothing's
first of all,
been
we gotta
done.
go, if we're gonna put the 3/10 back, which I think this is what everybody would probably prefer to have it, so equally everybody pays. But you have to go to the legislative and get approval to go over the legal limits. So that's why Mr. Lorraine tried to bring it up, and that's when two council members said, we're not gonna vote for any new tax. It's not a new tax. It was 3/10 that was removed from the 1 cent sales tax, and you wanna add it back on it.
I think just
So-
discussions need to be held. I mean, we
I
can't
know,
do it
I-
ourselves. I've talked to Councilman LaFont about it, different people. I've inquired from Mr. Danos. You know, what if we went to once a week pickup? Well, it wouldn't save us that much money because the tonnage is there.
It wouldn't say, garbage is by tonnage. And if you go once a week, then you'd have almost the same amount of tonnage, and you might save a little bit on transportation, but not enough to cover the cost. Garbage is not paid by cans. It's actually, the way it's done is, it's by tonnage you bring to the.
No, I'm not, I understand. I'm just saying, I'm just mentioning a question I've asked that Mr. LaFont and I talked about. He even talked about the place in Florida or whatever. I mean, there's different things, different places do that. I just wish you'd be more transparent. You're saying you're doing stuff, then I thought you were insinuating we should be doing it. Let's just be transparent. Let's look at some options.
I
Once
was
a week,
waiting,
whatever.
we wanted to discuss it, and it was shot down by this council here to discuss it.
Okay, let me correct you when you say it was shot down by this council, because you say two people, the majority, it only takes five. Unless you need a unanimous vote, two people don't kill a measure, and we know that by this already. And you and I have already talked about a user fee in the
Right, we
past, and I
talked
was in
about-
agreement, so I don't know which.
We talked about two ways. A user fee, which would be about $7, but we don't know if it would affect, what people it would affect the most. You know, as the garbage, the 3/10 is what you purchase at the store, or, you know, whatever has the tax on it. So that might be probably the best way to go. But we still gotta go, whichever way we go, we still gotta go to legislative in Baton Rouge, and that's what's my biggest concern. I've been waiting and, you know, and talking and trying to get this thing for y'all to discuss it.
Councilman Paraloo?
What's the backup plan if we present, as a council, if we present something to the people of Lafourche? Just this past year, they shot down a pay raise for the school board teachers because we're highly taxed already. We're too highly taxed. So I'm asking, what is your fallback plan aside from raising taxes?
There's no fallback plan unless you put a user fee, which is still another way of a tax.
It's a tax, right?
So, I mean, the garbage got to be paid. They're not going to pick up the garbage for nothing. I guarantee you that.
Right, and that's administrative issue that you got to deal with. I mean, so what is your backup plan?
What backup plan? It's got to have tax money to collect the garbage.
Councilman LaFont?
So, you said that they charge us by the tonnage. They charge us by the pickup.
But it all.
We pay tonnage at the landfill, but the garbage company, we pay by pickup.
It's all arithmetic problem. It's all they do is put it in basic.
Arithmetic, 2 + 2 is 4, I understand that. But listen, how many times y'all met with them or invited the council to go sit down and renegotiate the contract? Because listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, I know a lot of businesses that can't say, well, you know, like I'm gonna use a boat company, for instance. when the oil field went down, just like us, they were hurt. They had to look at ways to cut and other ways to save to pay for the things that they had to have. And did you look at that? Secondly.
Yes, I did, and I talked to them right before, I think in October, when they wanted to when they bought out the company. They said, give me 3 or 4 or 5 months and we're gonna be able to talk. So we have some tentatively set up for February to speak to them, see if we can negotiate a better deal. They don't
You just
have
told
to.
him you didn't have no backup plan. Can you invite a couple councilmen to attend, please?
Sure.
And also, one thing, and I asked Jerome.
You asked me if I had a plan, no, I have a plan if they agree to reduce it. Then we have a secondary plan, sure.
I also looked at, in the ordinance, it says about businesses only having 2 cans. I can go show you apartments, and Mr. Jimmy, I know you don't do that at your apartment, you have dumpsters.
That's correct.
And it's not fair to you, but if you go to some apartments, there's all over this parish in everybody's district. I know of one particular apartment complex that has 30 garbage cans. Just right there, you knock that monthly fee off. There's ways to save. We have to go to those businesses and say, look, you're allowed 2 cans, and that's it. Just like every other business, 2 cans. Anything else after that, apartments are supposed to have a dumpster.
Well, I don't know if that's in the original thing or not.
It says businesses can only have 2 cans. 2 commercial properties can have 2 cans, not 30.
But if they're tenants, I just don't know how to handle this over here because.
It's a commercial property. That commercial owner is making money.
At the store, they pay taxes.
That's understandable, but when the rule says and the contract says they can't, then they can't, Mr. Jimmy.
Well, I don't know. I mean.
Commercial
that's a
property
legal
can have more than
problem.
2
I
garbage
think that's a
cans.
legal question right there because when you go to the store, if you live in an apartment, you buy groceries, you pay taxes. So
I understand that, but then they also paying rent on that property from that guy, and he's benefiting from them. So
No,
he
he's
should
not.
have a place for them to throw their trash.
No, because if he has to pay the dumpster like I do, it's a cost to the businessman, and so probably the rent goes up a little bit if they have to do it. So eventually, they're gonna be paying double.
The contract says he can't have it, and we allow it. I'm just trying to give you some helpful ways to lower the cost.
Okay, well, let's look into it. I'm willing to look at anything.
So,
Councilman Lorraine, were you done?
Yeah, I'm just gonna be brief. Whether you go with a user fee or you go with a sales tax, if you go back with the sales tax to put it back where it was at, that once the people voted for it, excluding the city of Thibodaux, you gotta go to the legislature. They got to give you permission. You even gotta go to the people for a service, a user fee. Before, you could do it just for the vote of the council. Today, you can't. So if I was in y'all's shoes, I would look at putting both of them up and let the people choose. I mean, you're gonna go to one? Go to one pickup a week. Go to one and see what's gonna happen.
But it's not gonna save that.
I would almost say I dare y'all to do it. See what's gonna happen. And we are buying in by the contract to pay that. You found the money this year, but you ain't got no money next year, brother. None at all. And you gotta pay that contract. And if you think people's gonna put up with garbage piling up in front of their house, y'all go ahead and do it. See what's gonna happen.
And it gets worse from there, Daniel, because we have the Choctaw levy. Who knows what it's gonna cost? And we have the Sandra Barrios building that $500,000 has to be returned back to FEMA because the previous administration collected insurance money and FEMA money, which is illegal. You have other problems that we're not even gonna mention right now, but it's gonna be coming up, and those are the things that look, money's gonna be tight, and we cannot continue giving away money. I've been telling y'all that for a while. You just don't want to listen.
Okay,
It's
Councilman Otan? Councilman Otan?
Totally different opinions on a lot of this stuff. But, Mr. Jimmy, you talking about us negotiating a contract with solid waste is what it sounds like. You keep saying that we shutting it down,
No,
shutting it down. Wait, you said Daniel brought up and we shot down. Daniel put an ordinance up and deferred it, I don't know how many meetings, he may be able to remember, because of the legality of the state legislature. Correct me if I'm wrong?
We finally got it through. We finally got the permission. It had to go, it was on the fence. They didn't know if the council could put it or it had to be go back to the legislature for change. We finally got the answer. So my goal was to put it up for the people in October of last year to vote on it. They already voted for a penny, and it was cut 7/10. I was just asking them to put it back to 7/10, because we had no choice for a couple of years, and if things would have picked up, we could take it off again. I learned one thing: if you got a tax, don't ever reduce it.
Okay.
Yeah,
so-
fully understand. I guess,
And part of the problem, Armin, you're correct, but we had to go to the Attorney General's office and get an opinion. And that delayed it forever, because it takes forever to get an opinion from the Attorney General's.
but I understand it, but I guess what I'm saying, you kind of pointing the finger at us, and it's like, I'm not in any negotiations with anybody.
I'm not asking to
that's-
negotiate, it's about the tax. It's not negotiating the garbage, it's about the tax. That's what it's all about. And that's what Mr. Lorraine wanted to do, is put it on, have it ready to go, and then if we had it, we'd be 3 steps ahead.
It never came before council.
As I recall too, though, Mr. Jimmy, when Jerry had interrogated the garbage guys when they had this name change, when they sold out, and they said they were willing to sit down and relook, but that was 6 months ago, 8 months ago, a year ago?
No, it was, I don't know when it was.
This should be like one of the highest topics, so that we really got to.
It was, but you can't get somebody to the negotiating table if they don't want to come. And so they had the contract, and we couldn't do nothing. I tried to talk to Cam's office and see, can we negotiate it now? And he said, no, we can't. He said, we had no leg to stand on. It's a bigger problem than it really is. And so now, if we'd have done what Mr. Lorraine wanted to do, we'd be 4 steps ahead. And so no use crying about it. We're speeding this up as fast as we can now, because we have some answers.
Okay, when you say it never came to vote before this
No.
council, so please stop saying that it was shot down by 2 people. It never came to vote before this council. LaFont, you have the last word?
I'll look it up, I don't
Yeah,
know.
so you said that Cam told you you can't negotiate with, you just said Cam told you you can't negotiate.
That contract could not be negotiated.
That contract can be negotiated. Any contract can be negotiated.
If they want to negotiate it.
Yeah, if you ask them. So
I did
listen,
ask
after the meeting tonight,
That was my first thing when I
After the
met
meeting
with them.
tonight,
Before they met with y'all, before they came up here, I met with them and I asked them to negotiate it. I guarantee I did. And they said, well, give us a few months because we don't know about how much we have. And, they gave me all kind of excuses. So I went to the DA's office. I said, look, can we force them to negotiate? I think I have something on that, but I'll look it up. But
so here's what we can do after the meeting, you and I.
Okay.
We'll call them up, and we'll ask them if they can have a meeting with some of the councilmen. I'll sit there with you about negotiating the contract.
No, not talking about negotiating the contract. We're talking about 2 things, right?
No, I'm talking about negotiating the contract to lower the price, so I don't have to raise taxes on the people of Lafourche Parish.
Okay, we have something lined up for February with them.
Well, then, you just said they wouldn't meet with you.
No, I said at that time they wouldn't.
Okay,
Now,
so you got something lined up. Please
Jerome-
include some other councilmen.
Jerome has something lined up, and I can include some councilmen.
Because listen, it's the best interest of a company.
Oh, I agree.
To know that a parish that's in a bind, to help them out if you want to do future business with that company.
I agree with you. That was the time to talk to them, and I even brought up to them that when the contract was negotiated, fuel costs was selling for $4.49 a gallon. And all through that period of contract, the fuel was in the $2 and some range. So I brought that up.
Because I'm sure they don't want to happen what happened in Terrebonne Parish and another company come in and take over the.
Okay, we belaboring the point.
Okay.
Mr. Bagala, any more questions for Mr. Bagala?
No.
Let's move on. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
No, we got council president
Oh.
reports. I
That's-
want to ask a question.
Oh, you have something as well?
No, I just want to, Daniel mentioned something to me a little while ago. I wonder if you could reiterate. When I sat down after break, he said something about supplemental appropriations. He said, oh, y'all going to get a supplemental appropriation. It's all going to be bundled in one. Y'all going to have to vote on it all as one or nothing. Can you reiterate on that for us, please?
I can't speak for the administration, but if I was the administration and you wanted a supplemental appropriation, I'd put it all in one packet. That's just my opinion. Either you vote for it or you vote against it.
Brilliant. Councilman Otan.
Yeah, just quick, sir, public service announcement. The State Fire Marshal's Office has been sending out an email about once a week lately because of the unbelievable spike in deaths. And I know there's one that was not far from here just recently. Anyway, I just want to specifically state, because of this extra use of space heaters, he wants to remind everybody to use that 3-foot rule, nothing within 3 foot. And he specifically says from our State Fire Marshal Bush Browning, I want to encourage everyone to make certain to have working smoke alarms in their homes. We had one in December where it saved a life, so please pass it on, get that out to the people. There's just way too many deaths here in the last few weeks. Thank you.
If there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Paraloo, second by Lafont. All in favor? We adjourned at 8:52 PM.